Hello everyone, and welcome to This Nintendo Life, episode 250. My name is NBZ, and I find myself once again, Bally, in the same place where we recorded episode 200, at my mum's parents' house, in a small box room where it's extremely hot, and I have hay fever. You know, they say time is cyclical and nothing changes, but I really am starting to believe it, because that's where I am right now.
We were just saying that the episode 50, 100, 150, 200... they're all summertime, and I think they've gradually been moving back from, I think the first one might have been September, I'm just guessing, I don't know, but we've gradually worked back. So last time was July, I think it was, what did I write down? I wrote down July.
It was like the 19th of July or something like that?
Yes, July 19th was episode 200. And yeah, so this time, I think we're recording on Thursday the 15th of June, and yeah, it just kind of like gradually moves through summer, but it's still that hay fever season, and that's a problem.
I look forward to the time where we record this in February, Bally. That's what I look forward to. We don't have to worry. It's nice and cold outside, and maybe it's a bit of snow.
I think that should be episode 600 by my calculation.
Oh my God, Jesus! Yeah, who knows? Yeah, we'll see how that goes. But Bally, today we're here for an episode, which some people like to listen to. It tends to be the case that these episodes are our highest trafficked and most listened to. So hello. Also, if you're a new person and you're like, wow, I'm listening to this episode where people argue about video games, welcome. This is a Nintendo podcast. We talk about Nintendo games a lot. And in this episode, we're going to rank Nintendo games. And Bally, tell us what's going to happen on today's show.
Okay, so like we were just saying, on July 19th, we had episode 200. And for those who don't know, every 50 episodes, we do a top 50 Nintendo games of all time. So these are any games that appear on Nintendo systems, although there are some caveats that we can maybe get to. But,
sure, yeah.
Last time in episode 200, I think we blew up the list. So occasionally we blow up the list entirely and we rebuild from scratch. So the fact that last time we rebuilt from scratch means that this time we thought, let's just be a bit more additive. Like, let's think about the games that we've played since then that might make this list and potentially add some into the list. So we have a list of top 50 currently, and that's from episode 200. So the first step is we're going to run through all the games that we think might make it into this list, and I count that as 61 games. I think, did you add one? So
I did. 62. I added two, yeah.
Added two. So 63 games we're going to
No, sorry, we are at 61. I changed the number from 59 to 61.
59 to 61.
So I did
Perfect.
Update it.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So we've got 61 games, and me and MBZ are going to discuss which of these games should get into that top 50. So basically, they're in alphabetical order, and you just take the game, we discuss it, and we add the game to the list, or we add it to like the bucket, kind of everything below 50, like it's off the list. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So that's the first step. We add the games to the list. Now, obviously, lots of games will go beyond number 50. Like, as you add games will come down, and there might be 60, 70, 80 games on the list by the time that finishes. So the second step is we're going to shuffle around some of the, this is all through discussion and trading, but we're going to shuffle the games at the bottom of the list to what we want to save, essentially, and then we're going to do a hard cut after 50, and that will be our official top 50 games, Nintendo games of all time. And once we have that top 50, we will then reorder them.
Yes.
And then one final thing, just to like throw a spanner in the works, we're each going to bring two games at the very end that have been long lost and forgotten from previous lists, or maybe a game we've forgotten about, or for whatever reason it wasn't in the discussion. And we're going to explain or debate, should either of those two games, so it'll be 4 games between the two of us, should any of those 4 games be on the list?
Yeah, and probably by the time we get to stuff like the top 10, there'll be more in-depth discussions and stuff like that. But totally. It's a process. It's a thing that we'll get our grips together with, and hopefully you'll enjoy listening to it and won't be too mad at our choices. Of course, these are our opinions, and our opinions, we're the type of people who like weird games like Codename Steam, not calling any examples of any people in this podcast. So, if someone makes an argument for Codename Steam on this show for some reason, then that's what it's going to be. This isn't a like GQ's top 100 games list of all time where you get a consensus of, every games media person. This is MBZ and Bally's opinion, which means we have our own thoughts on what the best games are.
I'd like to think we're a little more current than those lists often become. They're quite. I think they're quite skewed towards impact at the time, I would justify it as. That's kind of what they like to go by.
And that's why the first game I want to bring is Super Mario Brothers for the NES. The best game ever made should be number one. So you'll probably not hear as much of that on here, but that's what we're going to do. And we're not going to be doing any what we've been playing. This is just a pure video game list episode. So we're still obviously playing Tears of the Kingdom and all that good stuff, and we'll get back to that next time. But today, it's all about ranking video games. So Bally, let's kick it off. Do you want to start going down this list? I
think we should just quickly run through the top 50 from last
you've got to read out all 50 games. Here we go.
I'll do it quite quickly. Right, okay. Are we ready?
This is for context for last time. So this list was decided July 2021, 2 years ago. This was the top 50 that we arrived at in July 2021.
Yeah, and we built it from scratch back then. So
yeah, we did.
Very proud of it. Right, here we go. Number 50, Mech Extermination Force. 49, Advance Wars. 48, Box Boy. 47, Contra 3. 46, Mario Maker. 45, Pokemon Gold Silver. 44, VVV. 43, Warrior Land Shake Dimension. 42, Animal Crossing New Horizons. 41, Spiritfarer. 40, Mega Man 2. 39, Splatoon 2. 38, Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. 37, Pikmin 3. 36, Golf Story. 35, Goro Goa. 34, Zelda The Wind Waker. 33, Valkyria Chronicles. 32, Katana Zero. 31, Final Fantasy 6. 30, Zelda Link Between Worlds. Number 29, Metroid Prime. 28, Octopath Traveler. 27, Hollow Knight. 26, Dead Cells. 25, Mark of the Ninja. 24, A Short Hike. 23, Chrono Trigger. 22, Cuphead. 21, The Gardens Between. 20, Ori and the Blind Forest. 19, Metroid Fusion. 18, Fire Emblem 7. 17, Wargroove. 16, Killer Queen Black. 15, Overwatch. 14, Xenoblade Chronicles. 13, Mario Odyssey. 12, Luigi's Mansion 3. 11, Rhythm Heaven Megamix. 10, Slay the Spire. 9, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. 8, Smash Brothers Ultimate. Number 7 was Earthbound. Number 6 was Stardew Valley. 5 was Celeste. 4 was Hades. 3 was Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Number 2 was Night in the Woods. And number 1 was The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Good job, Bally. Go through all of those back to back. That is a hell of a list. Lots of good video games in there. You know what it makes me feel? It makes me feel like let's kick all those out and put some new ones in, baby. Here we go. 2023. We're different people now. So let's do it. Very much looking forward to getting through it. So I guess should we just go through this list, Bally, from the top?
Let's just do it. There's quite a few of yours at the start here.
There are, yeah.
But, first one's 999.
Yeah. So obviously I talked about this recently on the podcast and had some listeners come in and do a whole spoiler cast on it and talk about it. I think it talks to the cult status of this game, that there are many people out there years and years later, over a decade later, still very passionate about this series and these games. I think this thing is phenomenal. I think it's absolutely fantastic. It is definitely a thing I should have gotten to earlier and didn't. And as a visual novel, it does so many interesting things with the medium, right? Like the whole idea of the branching timelines, the narrative. There are so many interesting things that the DS version in particular does. And I think that it does have like some corny, hammy stuff in it. You're always going to get that with anime games in some ways. And the writing can be a little bit off from here and there. But the core and the heart of it, in terms of a mystery with things that are being dangled and stuff that is being put in front of you, I think it does such a fantastic job. And I would really like to see it on this list. We're kind of going to be in NBZ's visual novel corner for a bit during these discussions, and this is like one of my favorites now. I really do think it, as a game that came out like back when people didn't really know what visual novels were, right? You would expect sometimes for earlier games in the genre space, and I wouldn't say this is an early game in the genre space, but from a Western perspective, like before this genre became well known over here, it was one of the earliest examples that came over and was a success. And you would expect like going back to it is difficult, and it is if you do play the DS version. I did play the more modern version with the Nonary Games edition, so obviously that changes things a little bit, but I still think that even that DS version, even with its quirks of having to go back and replay stuff and all that sort of stuff, I think it really delivers on a stellar narrative. And just, I'm in awe of how this story comes together, because the whole concept of these numbers and the bracelets and how all the numbers work in every scenario and every timeline that you go through, and making them all add up for these characters to be in the right places, the right time. It is mind-boggling. Like, I can't even imagine the fucking Excel spreadsheet that had to be made for the narrative of this game to work. It's remarkable. So I definitely would like to see it on there. And, you know, maybe it won't stay, but I'm gonna plant my flag for 999.
Is this the best of the rest when it comes to MBZ visual novels?
What do you mean when you say best of the rest?
Because there's a few more coming up. And
there are,
I think you're within your rights to stick one of these at the bottom for now, but I feel like when I'd go with like 1 or 2 max at the moment.
Yeah, that's fine.
I don't feel like they're all going to hang out there.
Well, that's fine. We can put them all on there and take them all off. It's all good. But I think this one does stay there for now. Yeah, I will say.
Okay,
that, yeah.
Shall I plonk it at say 45?
Let's have a look. Let's see. I think that I think it goes around there. That probably makes sense to me.
Let's do it for now. 45.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that.
999. Boom. It's on.
Yeah. All right, lovely.
Extermination Force has just become number 51.
Oh, goddamn.
Brutal. Absolutely brutal.
Horrible.
Right. Let's keep going. A Space for the Unbound.
A Space for the Unbound. I love this game. Yeah, I think this thing is fantastic. It's definitely going to feature in my top 10 at the end of the year, for this year in particular. I think I need a bit more time and space from it, you know? Like, it's one of those games that I think is really fantastic, excellently written, and just is gorgeous from like a pixel art aesthetic standpoint. I think it has a little quirks in it in terms of, you know, some of the kind of point and click elements, you know, they're a little bit extended sometimes. You're going around the town and like talking to a lot of people, and it doesn't feel fetch questy necessarily, but there will be sometimes moments where you're walking around there and, you know, you're inside someone's mind space, and they're like, okay, now you have to go and get this stuff from the outside world, and it requires kind of walking around a lot and talking to people and kind of finding stuff out, and sometimes it's nice because you have familiarity with the town and the people, but it can get a little bit long in the tooth, so it may be a little bit baggy in the middle. It's very long. For a narrative game like this, I expected it to be like 8 hours, and it ended up being like 12, 14 hours, so it's actually quite meaty. But I think it's really excellent, and I think it's going to be very hard to get something like this in the top 50, so I'm going to say no for now. Okay. And I'd love for you to play this at some point, either this year or next year.
This is now on my list.
Yeah, and I think it could potentially move up here in the future.
Okay, it's going below the bar for now. So we've got a little bar, and that's where Space for the Unbound's going. We're going to keep up the pace.
Mm-hmm.
AI The Somnium Files.
Yeah, and the sequel as well, Nirvana Initiative. Put them together. So the Nirvana Initiative is good. I really enjoyed it. It's not going to make this list. I think the first game is the one that I'm going to fight for. This thing absolutely blew me away. It was the first Uchikoshi game that I played, and is the reason that I went on to then play 999 afterwards. It's just... Look, it's got horniness all over the shop. It's a weird game, and that can be off-putting for a lot of people, and I totally understand that. But man, I love the characters in this series, and like... There is a goofy, charming nature to all of them. And the way that this mystery unfurls, like the way that they use the timelines and how it all comes together, I think is really special. And it was the first one of these from him that I played, so I think it made an even bigger impact. And there's something very smooth about these games. The first AI of the Somnium Files has like a font that is very readable and nice, which is a weird thing to say about a game, but like it almost makes it go down easier. Like you can digest it super cleanly, and the voice acting is just like, it's so clean and nice and present. And it is one of those things, I think, that a lot of people don't get into visual novels because it's a lot of reading, and I think games like AI the Somnium Files help with people who have that feeling, because it will read it out for you. Everything is voice acted, right? Which I think is a nice thing to have. The other thing that I really like about it is like there are so many stupid jokes where like I clicked on every single part of the environment every time I played this game, because you will get a recurring joke that happens about like some stupid objects in the background, and I think that stuff there's so much effort put into it, and I love that they pay it off, right? Like the ongoing joke about the detective guy who's ironically whose name I can't remember now, because the entire running joke is that your main character can't remember his fucking name. I think it's Kagami. Anyway, like it's so good. Like, and it happens so many times. It's one of those things, like, you know, in games sometimes where you keep clicking the same response again and again, and the dialogue keeps reacting to you and keeps changing. Like they do that quite a lot in this game, and yeah, I would love to see this on the list. I might actually put it slightly higher than 999.
This
just
is
because
AI
it's
Somnium Files, not Nirvana.
the first one. Yeah, the first
one. You want it higher than 999?
Yeah, I think I would put it about 40 probably. This is really, really good.
You're just plonking it above Spiritfarer.
Look, Bally, we can sort all this out later. This is my feelings right now, you know. So
I cannot get it above Spiritfarer for now. Come on.
All right, I'll put it. That's fine. I'll put it below Spiritfarer. That's
Let's
fine.
go
Yeah.
42.
I'm cool with that.
Right, and Nirvana Initiative, we're going below the bar.
Yeah. I think Nirvana Initiative is cool, but it doesn't quite make it for me.
Right. I'm going to be a bit brutal here, but we need to pick up the pace just a little bit. Otherwise, we're going to be here for 3 hours.
Sure.
So Alba, a wildlife adventure in a minute.
Yeah.
Go.
It's cool. It's a little game. You're a young child. You're taking pictures with your grandparents on an island. It's nice. I think nice is good, but it doesn't.
Nice
make
is not
top
great.
50.
Nice is nice.
No, nice is nice. It doesn't make top 50 material, but I recommend people check it out. I think it's a very charming little thing. It's only a few hours long, and you take some nice pictures. And this is the kind of thing I wish Pokemon Snap was. If I'm honest, like Pokemon Snap didn't resonate with me, the new one, because it was still on rails, and like what I would want from a Pokemon Snap is more like this, where you actually run around and just naturally take photos in the environment, right? Like an explorer. So yeah, it's real cool.
Art of Rally.
Art of Bally.
Art of Bally. It's a very Bally game. I don't think you'd enjoy this game a ton. I'd love to fight for this near the very bottom, but honestly, I'm going to be fighting so much harder for other stuff. It's a very cool, artistic, stylish racer that feels good to control, but is still at its core a tough old rally game. And I love that it kind of looks easy, plays harder, and it's very brutal with its time trial style, and it's a proper rally game. And as someone who's played a couple of rally games in the past, it's definitely my favorite that I've played. It's nothing Codemasters or anything that style, but I'd love to fight for it. Maybe I'm just looking at this list at the bottom.
You can go for it. You know, I'm happy to do this.
I mean, you've gone for a couple of games, so I'm gonna go in like. God, Mario Maker's number 48.
Yeah, this is fucking brutal.
I'm gonna go in just before 999.
Okay, cool.
After 999.
After 999, yeah. No,
actually, no. I need some goodwill. I'm dropping this. Like, I'm being realistic.
Wow.
It's not.
All right.
I need to fight for other things. That's Art of Rally below the bar.
Man, I probably need more goodwill because I have more things I'm fighting for. But,
well, exactly. I need to
fine.
see some of that goodwill. Right, Axiom Verge 2.
Yeah, man, I love this game. This thing is real cool.
Axiom Verge 1 is not on the list.
No, it's not. And I actually think the sequel's better. I don't know if you agree with me, but like...
It's very different, but I'd probably side with it being better as well.
Yeah, like it's a more exploration-focused Metroidvania. It's like very different. I think it just... I really got enamored with it. It was also like... I remember playing it up... Was it up north? No, I was down south. I was somewhere with family. It was somewhere in a cottage place where you go walking and stuff like that. It was one of those places. And it was the week before your wedding. So I was writing.
Up north, yeah, Scotland.
I was writing my best man speech as well as playing this game at the same time, and so it's very much tied to
number
that.
One, best game of all time.
yeah, absolutely. So like it's very tied to that because like I would like write stuff and practice, and then I would like play Axiom Verge for like 2 hours and be like, okay, cool. Like now and then I go back and do that again. So it was very much tied to that.
We need to shout out MBZ's best man speech. That thing was incredible. Like that for any listeners. Like honestly, should have been there. Should have been there. Even though there were only about 20 people allowed in the building because of all the COVID stuff. But yeah. So yeah, I have a lot of fondness for Axiom Verge 2. I don't know if you want to put it on here. There's lots of Metroidvanias that we love and think are great. I find it might be difficult to make this one on. So I'm happy to not put it on there. But I would side with below the bar because you're right. There's so many Metroidvanias we're going to be fighting for. Even on this list of new games that we've not even got to yet. So I'm going to go below the bar.
Yeah, that's fine. But I just want to shout it out because I don't think enough people played it, if I'm honest. I think the first game got its plaudits. And this game is very different in the sense that it's a totally new character. It's more like melee focused in a weird way. And it has a whole like separate world where like you take your drone character and like it's basically a morph ball with legs essentially. So there's a lot of interesting exploration stuff going on there.
It's own version of a dark world kind of thing.
Yeah, totally.
For
sure.
The main one. Bayonetta 3.
Yeah, I mean, in recent times, Bally, you have played the Bayonetta series, and have not got on with it. So yeah, I'm not gonna try and fight for this here. I think Bayonetta 3 is really good. I think probably 2 is better overall, if I'm honest. Just in terms of pace and like bosses and all that sort of stuff. I think it does a better job of letting you combo and understanding like fighting lots of groups of enemies. Bayonetta 3 basically goes a bit more gimmicky in the sense that like oftentimes you're a giant thing in the sky shooting, like there's an entire boss fight where you're this giant butterfly lady and you're in a bubble bath and you're blowing bubbles at helicopters coming in at you. Like there's a whole like singing thing with an opera singer lady where you basically use your musical notes to destroy bats flying at you. It's a rhythm game, so it basically changes genres a lot and shift, which means there's less focus on the action, and I think I like it a lot, but I don't think it's gonna rock here. So.
Go below the bar.
Yes. Next up, Chained Echoes. Bally, if this isn't on the list, I'm leaving. I'm off the show. This game is like the epitome of what RPGs should be. Like
this is the RPG I need to play before 300, isn't it?
So absolutely. Chained Echoes is off the chain, man. I was just watching Kind of Funny Games Daily, and Ben Starr, the main voice actor for Clive from Final Fantasy 16, was on there, and that guy's a nerd. He's awesome. He seems very cool and is very switched on to games. And I knew this because he said he'd recently been playing Chained Echoes, so he's a good person in my book. Yeah, I think this thing, like we talked about it a lot on the show, but it takes the cruft of what you expect from this genre and it streamlines absolutely everything. It just makes it a joy to play. It has a unique, interesting combat system, bright, colorful world, great characters. Like it's all that you want from this genre and like none of the bullshit. So I think it has to be somewhere on this list. I'm going to go quite high for this one. I think this is like 30 something. I think this is where I'm putting it. I would put it above Katana Zero personally. I might put it above Final Fantasy 6, but that's pretty heresy. So I'm gonna put it below Final Fantasy 6 for now, above Katana Zero.
Go at 32, just below Final Fantasy
let's do that.
6. Cool. Yeah, really went under the radar. I think December release date. Honestly, it's like one of the worst things just to come out at that time. It's hard to gain traction, but
totally.
Great reviews.
It really did.
People who like RPGs are like, this is the best one, and that's like I need to play that game.
Pretty amazing.
Chicory, interesting game this because I played this before last time's list, but it hadn't gotten a Switch release, therefore it wasn't counted.
It wasn't eligible. Got you? Yes.
Ineligible. So you've not played it since.
No, I really need to. It just came to Game Pass recently, so I'll be on it soon.
Okay. I'll admit it didn't even make my top 10 that year. So I'm kind of like, it's cool. I think the music is incredible. I think
if this was a top 50 soundtracks of all time, would you put it on there?
Oh, definitely. But like the idea that, this is just like a cutesy Zelda-like. It's like, but Zelda's a lot more fun.
Okay,
I don't know.
Damn, dude.
I like the story. I like the messaging. I like the art style as much as I don't like the black and white nature of it, which is kind of the point of the game, and you're kind of coloring it in. Like, it would have looked a lot nicer if it was already pre-colored, like if the color was already there. And for a game to be like cutesy in the way that this game is going for, it sounds like such a harsh criticism because the whole point is that the game's black and white. But like, I don't know, there was just something about it when it really knocks you off your rhythm in a Zelda game when you go into a brand new area and it's just in black and white, when I think that part of the charm of Zelda and going into new areas is the awesome discovery of, wow, this place looks incredible. I wonder how I'll interact with this. I wonder how I'll interact with that. And this game felt a lot more like, I'm in a new area and this is cool, but this area is kind of lacking in some way. Now it makes up for it in the writing. The writing is fantastic. The story is pretty good. The music's amazing. It's got this weird dual stick thing with the paintbrush, because one's a paintbrush, one's moving your character. So yeah, I'm going below the bar on this one, but I still really think you should try it, MBZ. And it was a very good game from that year. I just wasn't maybe drinking the Kool-Aid quite as much as some of the more positive reviews for it.
Yeah, I mean, it won Game of the Year from Giant Bomb and MinMax, so a lot of places really liked it. So yeah, I think it's one that has entered the pantheon of good games that people like. So I do want to play it, and it's on Game Pass now, so I probably will check it out at some point. So there you go.
Chrono Cross.
Yeah, dude. Like, Chrono Cross deserves more respect. I think it's really good. It basically does a lot of stuff that you would think, oh, Chrono Trigger was the one that trailblazed, but really Chrono Cross does a lot of interesting things. Its combat is totally different but unique and interesting. Like, in a lot of ways, like similar to Chained Echoes in the sense that it does a lot of innovative, different stuff with the genre, and makes it all work super well. There's a lot of RPGs that I love and things that I would love to get on this list. Does Chrono Cross make it? I mean, if I were to argue for it, it would probably be near the bottom, right? It'd probably be like 50 or something, and I don't know that that's going to shake things out, so I'm going to let it go. But I do think that if you are a fan of Chrono Trigger and you like that game and you have never played Chrono Cross, you owe yourself to go back and do it, because it was so much more different than I expected. I expected a bit more of a traditional RPG on the PS1, and the way that it has different kind of worlds that you visit, and the way that those characters interact, and the whole like magic system, and the kind of back and forth that you do in the combat and building your team, I think it's really excellent, and also has one of the best twists in video games that I had no idea about. And when I got to it, I was like, really? This is what we're going to do? So yeah, that was pretty fantastic. I think it deserves respect. Chrono Cross should have more people playing it. So there you go. Doesn't make it, but play Chrono Cross.
Citizen Sleeper.
Now, Bally, if there's a game that's gonna get into the top 20 on this list, I don't know if there's one better than Citizen Sleeper. There probably is, but Citizen Sleeper, man. I mean,
one better than Citizen Sleeper on this list.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Citizen Sleeper is pretty fucking high up there.
It is. I agree. It's high. It's high. We love Citizen Sleeper.
It's amazing. We both love it. That's the reason I argue it quite high. I would say like this is 25, let's say. Honestly, I would put it above a Short Hike. I know you like a Short Hike a lot, but like, a Short Hike is a nice little game. Citizen Sleeper is about capitalism, baby. I was talking about, and
I'd go higher than that potentially.
Oh, really? Okay, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I'm down. I mean, I think this is definitely a top 20 game. Remarkable writing, but that's the thing. It's not just the writing. It's not just the world and the kind of message that it has. It's how much it hooks you from a gameplay perspective, like the dice rolling and every day and waking up and being like, well, what do I do now? And the way that feeds into the narrative. Like, I was hooked. I played this for like 3 nights straight, and every night it was like 3-4 hours non-stop. I couldn't take myself away from it. Like, it's a compelling game design. And I think that's what stands it above, is like, not only is the writing next level, but the game design matches it. And
it's got I need to play just one more day. I've got to play just one more day. But in a very different way to Stardew Valley. Like, it's too simplistic, I think, to compare it to Stardew Valley as much as you are still. You are still advancing systems and occasionally growing things, but it's very different. But
it's about survival. It's about necessity. It's about all those sort of things. And I think it's remarkable.
Announced a sequel. What?
They did. Yeah, they just announced Citizen Sleeper 2. What? That's crazy.
Oh my god. When's that coming out?
I'm not sure. Have to check and see.
I'm thinking like 18 for now.
Ooh, wow, that's spicy. Now, can I let that stand? I mean, I'll let it stand for now.
This is the spiciest politics game on this list after Night in the Woods.
Yeah, it's pretty spicy.
Not that there's much competition other than that.
No.
My point.
We need more capitalism games on this list, so anti-capitalism games, that is. So Citizen Sleeper, it deserves a place in the top 20, I think.
Should we go 18 for now?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, let's go.
18. We can move stuff around, Metro Fusion and Fire Emblem 7, they're hanging out there.
Move them.
But they can move.
Death's Door.
Ooh.
Here's a funny thing. So we have an Amazon. I'm saying her name quietly. And I like to listen to video game soundtracks, and I'm pretty confident that there's a ton of indie game soundtracks that are on Amazon Music, and I'm pretty confident Death's Door is there. But every time I say, Alexa, play the soundtrack from the video game Death's Door, she just cannot understand what I'm saying every single time. So anyway, my point is Death's Door has a banging soundtrack.
So I mean, that's the reason that it shouldn't be on the list, right? Because no one knows what it is. It's just not very interesting.
I feel like I'm going to push harder for this one than
I
you
know,
are.
of course you are. I think Death's Door is really cool. I think it's not quite as good as Hyperlight Drifter, right? It's a poor imitation of the superior Hyperlight Drifter, but
I mean, Hyperlight Drifter's not on the list either.
No, it's not. And I think part of that was Did you play it before, or maybe you hadn't? Maybe you played it afterwards.
I played Half-Life Drifter after Death's Door.
I think you did. I think you played it after Death's Door, but also you played it since last time, right?
Yes,
so you
I
hadn't
have,
played it.
Yeah,
you hadn't played it last time we did this list, so I
way
didn't push for
prefer
it.
Death's Door. I'd like to fight hard for this at the bottom, but I appreciate I might struggle.
I can let you have it. I mean, the thing is, Death's Door, I think, is structurally just a little simple, and I think its world doesn't feel cohesive because it's so, you can see the kind of what's the fucking word I'm looking for? Cogs and spokes. That's what I'm looking for.
Cogs and spokes.
You can see it like as a kind of video game as opposed to a world, and its highlight is its bosses, which this team made Titan Souls, and that was an entire boss focused game, and you can really see it in this game because the bosses are fucking excellent and like the best part of the game. But I just feel like the stuff in between the bosses never quite worked for me. But I know you like it a lot, so.
I think it does combat very well. If I was to have something negative on it, it would be the kind of the navigation, the Zelda style of linking worlds. But at the same time, like, the music is killer. I think the setting is unbelievable. Like, a really high production and a real, like, there's other games on this list that are similar to Death's Door that we'll get to, but like, this might have the smoothest combat of the bunch. Like, it's just a really smooth system. I just look at the bottom of this list. We're not cutting yet. That's not how this works. We're not cutting yet. We're going to do a shuffle, then a cut. So I would put this up at like 45.
Okay, so below Animal Crossing, New Horizons?
That's 46.
Oh, okay. All right, sure.
Okay, let's go.
Below AI the Somnium Files.
Below AI the
I'm fine.
Somnium Files,
As long as something's
apparently.
below AI the Somnium Files, I'm okay with it,
We'll have a shuffle later, but we'll leave it there for now. But anyway, I do want to fight for that one. Okay.
All right.
Dodgeball Academia.
What a cool game. I like this a lot. Sports RPG.
Need more sports RPGs.
Yeah, we need more good ones.
Good ones, not sports story. I didn't even bother putting sports story on this.
I noticed that. Yeah. Yeah, I fucking love this. I think it was a real surprise, and it came out of nowhere. Has like a real Pokemon energy to it that I appreciate greatly, and I just think it's a crying shame that nobody talked about it. Like, we were basically the only people to talk about it and give it its plaudits, and that sucks. And now I'm going to be the person saying, well, and we're going to continue to not give its plaudits by not putting it on the list. But I don't know. Do you think you can make an argument for it being here?
It's a potential number 50.
Sure, I like that, actually.
But I think to get it at number 50, it'll have to fight it out with some other number 50s. But if we put it on the list for now at the bottom, and then we'll do the shuffle and cut,
yes,
it's in the debate. That's why
I think we do this often, but number 50 is never usually number 50. It's usually more of a symbolic
It's
pick.
just a game we're just like, we need the representation. We need to save it. We need...
Yeah.
Our souls will feel complete if that game gets on here. So it's going to go number 56 for now.
Okay, cool.
But basically, it's not below the line; it's above the line.
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
So that's how.
Oh boy, Eastward.
Bally.
No one else talked about this game. What's going on?
Look, if Eastward isn't on this list again, I'm leaving this table. I mean, we both love this game a lot, and I think this deserves, again, like Citizen Sleeper, this is a top 20 kind of game for me. At the minimum, I think it can go higher potentially, but I just adored Eastward. Like, its vibe, tone, aesthetic, music, all of it is so cohesive and beautiful, and I just think it's just one of the best looking games I've ever played, right? Like, pixel art can go places, but what they do with Eastward is just unimaginable. It is like, it just captures that nostalgia I have for Earthbound, even though I played Earthbound as an adult, right? And only a few years ago, it captures that so keenly, and yet has this sense of its own identity, and like the cities, the places you go, like there's so much cool stuff in that game, and like there's finickiness with the combat and some weird puzzles and stuff like that, and I totally get that.
It was our game of the year. Like, we need to stand by this game, push it high. Like, I mean, I think the Earthbound comparison is great because one thing I really like about this game, and I do like my JRPGs, but I do like that it's got the Zelda mechanics and not the JRPG mechanics. Now, it could have had its own JRPG system, and it might have been a good one, but there's something about the simplicity of the Zelda mechanics it goes for, that there's some strong dungeon design in here, and it's not just it's not just all about the story. Like, there's like mechanically a really strong game here as well, I'd argue.
Right.
And I think this has like top 15, potentially top 10 material. So
I can see it. I can see it for sure.
14 for now, 13 for now.
Let's put it at 15 for now, and let's see how we feel.
Now. Okay.
Just because we're in close proximity to Xenoblade Chronicles, and you know what my heart does with Xenoblade Chronicles, so...
I know.
But Eastward...
Someone has to like that.
Wow. God damn, dude. I mean, you know, they're not making fucking, what do you call F-Zero games anymore for a reason. People don't fucking buy them. Dunk. All right. So Eastward, it deserves to be there for sure.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. Okay, Escape Academy.
So I checked this one because I was like, this wasn't available on Switch when we talked about it. No, it is now, so it's now on Switch. Yeah, I think this game's really cool. I really enjoyed it a lot. Like, as there's not that many co-op focused games when it comes to like not single player, but you know what I mean, like 10-hour experiences that are also co-op. Because so much co-op stuff out there is like, I'm gonna play Rainbow Six Siege with my friends, or some Ubisoft multiplayer thing, some other Ubisoft multiplayer thing, because that is Ubisoft. So yeah, I appreciate that Escape Academy exists, and I think it's the right level of puzzle as well for two people to work together to figure stuff out. I enjoyed this game a lot.
I like this game a lot. I would happily put this in the Dodgeball Academia debate for number 50.
Okay.
I don't know if you feel that strongly about it, or I'm happy for it to go below the line as well.
I don't know. Like, I'm happy for it to go below the line, but I think it's a really cool thing, and I just hope people make more stuff like it, basically. So,
okay.
Yeah, I like it quite a bit.
Well, I can go below the line. I think it'll just be more difficult later if we have everything above the line.
Yeah.
And this is a decent shout to go below the line.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
I just thought of one more in adjacency to that I'll put on the list. I'm not sure if it's eligible or not, but I'll just put it down there.
Oh, interesting. We can have that discussion.
Yeah.
Okay, well done with the alphabet.
Yeah, I think that's the right alphabet. I'm not sure. Probably not. I think I got it right. But it's fine.
Fall Guys. It's cool. I like it a lot. I had a great time. It's not a special game, and I think every list on top 50 has got to be special.
Oh, yeah, and it has to speak to us in a meaningful way.
Yeah.
And, you know, we had good fun playing that game and winning at certain points. Your win in particular I found very funny.
Oh, my God, yeah.
It's pretty chaotic, but, yeah, Fall Guys can go. It's cool that it's on Switch. I mostly played it on PC, if I'm honest. So.
I was on Series X as well.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. Still works on Switch, though. I think it's better than people said it was anyway.
Final Fantasy 1.
Yeah, so this is the GBA version of the first Final Fantasy. I just really like this personally. Like, I found a real sense of comfort in it. It's like, it was that kind of game that I played with a walkthrough alongside me, you know, like having a whole dungeon on a screen on a... I
bet it's pretty brutal without a guide.
It can be, although, like, combat-wise, it wasn't too bad. Like, as it was a GBA remake, they definitely made it a little bit softer in terms of that stuff. So combat wasn't too bad, and I could be a little bit more grindy with it. And it was also like a one of the first games I played on my Ambinic, which was a really nice way to play it. It's like a nice little cozy handheld thing to grind out and do some stuff. But yeah, I think it's cool that I played it. I enjoyed it a lot, but I don't think it's going to make it onto this top 50 list. So shout out.
Fire Emblem Engage.
Yeah, very fresh this. I'll admit something to you, Bally. I've barely thought about this game since I played it. I put 85 hours into Fire Emblem Engage, and I did enjoy it a lot of the time. I think like it has some really...
That's a lot of time.
It is, yeah. I think that something about some of the game design choices irked me near the end, where like they just endlessly respawn units to advance towards you. And like there was one map right before the end that I was like, I literally spent like 4.5 hours on, and it was just a fucking nightmare to do. And yeah, there's some certain aspects of it. I think also because I played it on hard as opposed to normal, and the problem with that is hard was just a little too annoying, and normal was just way too fucking easy, and there was no good in between. And, you know, I think I am more of a Fire Emblem mechanics guy than I am story. But, like, the story is so unmemorable in this that I don't even remember the name of characters in this game. And I played it only a few months ago. And that is unusual for me with Fire Emblem, because I can list you off the cast of most of these games, having not played them for, like, a decade, right?
There is only one Fire Emblem on the list currently.
That's true, and we did do a bit of cutting last time, right? I honestly would probably sooner take Three Houses in this, and that's not even on the list right now. So I think that Engage... it will probably end up on my top 10 somewhere high-ish this year, just because I do still fundamentally...
Even high-ish in 2023 is saying a lot.
Yeah, the year's not ended yet, I know. But it'll probably end up somewhere on my list, let's say. We'll see where it goes. But I think, yeah, I was very hot on it at the time. And I've just cooled on it a little bit. And I didn't go and get the DLC. And I don't know, just haven't felt in the mood to go back to engage, because it did punish me a lot. And I did like it, but I don't know. It never quite struck the balance. So it's not going to make it. And I'm sorry to all my Fire Emblem friends out there. So... there you go.
Flynn, Son of Crimson.
Yeah, I mean, it's a neat little game. It's a cool little action platformer. I like it. It's not very memorable.
We're speeding up. Let's go.
I don't know.
Come on,
it's done.
It's good. Okay.
It's good. Cool.
And the next one is If Found.
If Found, an excellent little narrative game that I enjoy greatly. Has a great kind of visual aesthetic to it, and the way that it kind of portrays identity is really excellent. I think it's really, really good. I can see it being on this list somewhere. How do you feel about it?
It'd be fighting at the bottom, but I think it's in that fight. It's in that fight. I did like this game a lot. And I think Ireland is a great setting for a game. I think at the time we said, Ireland, it shares a lot of in common with Scotland especially, and but at the same time it's still a very different country. And I think having a game set there was really interesting and isn't done enough in a world where so much of the industry is dominated by the United States and Japan and like these places that are juggernauts. Like it was a nice setting, and I appreciate that. I'd put it above the bar, kind of in and amongst Dodgeball Academia for now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, let's do that. I think that works.
Okay, it's number 58. Okay, and Imposter Factory.
Imposter Factory, the third game in the To the Moon series. Bally, you not recently, but in the time between, you've played To the Moon. Didn't work for you as well as it does for me.
Not quite.
Yeah, I mean, Imposter Factory is like a game I cried playing, right? Like, I think this entire series just gets me very, very strongly. But I appreciate it doesn't really resonate with you, and that's totally cool. I don't think it will make it for that reason. And I think also Imposter Factory almost relies upon having played the previous two games. Also, like, there's a kind of narrative thing that runs through it, and I think it executes on that excellently, but like doesn't quite stand on its own without those two. Yeah, in some ways it does. I think it's a really cool thing, but I'm not going to argue for it here.
It Takes Two.
So yeah, I just added this one, talking about co-op games, right? And neither of us played this on Switch. I don't know what the Switch version is like, but it's a good game.
Here's what we've done. I think we did it for Game of the Year recently when we were discussing Overwatch 2 coming to Nintendo Switch. So this is a definition I'd like to run by, but we don't have to go by this definition, and it probably disqualifies one other game on the list if we were to go by this definition.
Sure, yeah.
But the definition I like to think of is, if this game came to all platforms at the same time, would we be playing the Switch version? And assuming Game Pass didn't exist, because that's essentially playing games for free, kind of. Yeah. Would we play this on Nintendo? Would we be willing to play this on Nintendo Switch, or is it far superior on another platform? Therefore, we'd go to the other one. So for the example of Overwatch 2, yes, it came to all platforms at the same time. However, you played on PC, I played on Xbox Series X. They were better on those platforms than the Nintendo Switch. Therefore, it was disqualified for our Game of the Year. Yeah. That's how I would justify that It Takes Two, in my opinion, won't run as well on Switch as it does on, in my case, PS5. Therefore, I would argue it's disqualified, personally.
Yeah, I think so. I think we can take it off. It's a really cool game that we like a lot. But
one of the best games of all time.
Wow. Damn, dude.
I absolutely love It Takes Two.
Yeah, it's very cool.
It's the best co-op game I've played with you, for sure.
Yeah, it'd be nice if it was written well at all. But
yes,
that
that's
would be good.
One area it could definitely have improved in, and I really hope that's something that they can get a bit better with their next game.
Honestly, Joseph Fares, just go back to Silent Protagonist. It was much better. It just worked, and I enjoyed that more.
I reckon there's a decent chance they'll show off the next game at Game Awards.
Game Awards, potentially. Yeah, for sure.
Inmost.
Yeah.
Part of that narrative 2D platformer genre we were talking about
cinematic platformer.
Yes. Cinematic platformer, there we go. This is a really cool one. It's got its faults. It's one of the darkest games I've ever played, and I wasn't expecting that. And yeah, you need to take a deep breath before playing this one. I definitely say that. I definitely still think you should give it a go at some point, MBZ. It's a short game. It's incredible pixel art, really great cutscenes. I think that the doing isn't quite as seamless and fun as either an Inside or Planet of Lana. Like it's a lot clunkier than either of those games, and I think for that reason I'm not going to fight for it to get near this top 50. But
all right,
I still like it a lot.
Cool. Inscription is a game that I played close to when it came out. It's a ride. This game's an absolute ride. It has layers upon layers.
First question, does it pass that test probably, do you think?
Which test? Oh, the Switch test?
Yeah.
I think so. I think it does. It's one of those like it's mainly a card game. And there's one section in particular where it absolutely passes that test. There's one section in particular that I've just been I do want you to play this at some point, because there is a section that I'm like, this is the most Bally ass fucking section of all time. And
I can't believe this game isn't on Game Pass yet. Like it just oozes Game Pass energy at some point.
For sure.
So we'll see.
I think it'll happen. I think you'll enjoy it. You like card game stuff, and it gets really weird with it. It's satisfying. It has layers, like I said. Like it keeps going, and stuff keeps happening. You're like, how much wilder can this get?
I need to play this game.
And it keeps getting wilder. Like the game itself is just a surprise, and so the less you know about Inscription going into Inscription, the better it is. But yeah, I think I'm gonna wait on this one until maybe episode 300 once you played it, and then we can discuss again. But Inscription, shout outs, it's very cool.
Kaze and the Wild Masks.
Yeah.
This is a damn good 2D platformer of the DK Country ilk, and people need to play this game. It's great. It's fantastic. Do I see it getting on this list? It's hard when it's just me who's played it, but I'd like to fight for it at the bottom.
Yeah, I can see that. You were very hot on this when it came out. Again, I am someone who is down with Donkey Kong. If this podcast has taught anyone anything, it's that Mario and Kirby can get fucked. This is Wario and DK's podcast. All right, only those two big boys are allowed here. I definitely want to check this out. I picked it up on sale recently, so I've got it on Switch ready to go whenever I so feel like it. So I will check it out.
Nice.
But, yeah, I can see it getting on here.
It's number 59 for now, I think.
All right.
Let's see how that does later.
Yeah. Kirby and the Forgotten Land. As we had just said, this is not Kirby and Mario.
Kirby's place. Get lost.
But Forgotten Land is really nice. I like it. It's a solid game, and I think for a first kind of 3D outing for Kirby, they did a good job with it. I think it's far more similar to a 2D Kirby game than I think a lot of people admit.
Yeah.
It's very much that formula, and there are things about it that I think could be improved. Like there's certain, like I was trying to do a lot of collectible stuff with it, and I like doing that to begin with. And then I got to a point where I was like, oh, this challenge requires me to beat this one boss without taking a hit. But the one boss is like 3 mini bosses into the stage. And so to get to that point, I have to fight those 2 bosses to get there, and then, or just sit there and wait for myself to die, which takes ages because it's a Kirby game and it's very forgiving. And I just remember being like, oh, I'm not going to do this anymore. I just kind of gave in. It was similar to like Yoshi's Woolly World on Wii U, where I did those like really hard levels for a while and was like getting every single Yoshi skin in that, and I really liked it. And then I kind of got burned out on it. I think the same thing happened with Kirby for me, where I liked it a lot and then kind of got burned out a bit. And again, the ending, like the ending's fantastic, but like the lead up to that, it's very fluffy in terms of repeated mechanics and stuff like that. So
it's too short a game to repeat mechanics the amount it does, honestly.
Yeah.
Like it's, in terms of style of 3D platformer, it's actually a ton like Astrobot Rescue Mission on PSVR.
Yeah.
But that game is shorter, leaner, does not repeat ideas in the same way. It's just a far better platformer overall. And you're right, they just take too many of the 2D tropes and stick it in Kirby, and there were so many people just like, this game is fantastic. It's almost like Mario Odyssey. It's like, whoa, you guys need to calm down right now, because Mario Odyssey doesn't keep repeating mechanics. That's just not what it does. Maybe there's some collectibles that get repeated, but if you're going for that like main line of Mario Odyssey, like you're not repeating anything. If you're on the main line Kirby, you're still repeating a ton of stuff. And for me, that's a huge black mark against something like a lean, shorter 3D platformer. Like it just, the first 3 hours were the best in my opinion. Yes, the ending was great, I enjoyed it as well, but like the freshness of those first 2 to 3 hours where you're constantly doing new abilities and it's cute and the music's great, the presentation's there, I love the design of the areas, but then those last 2 or 3 areas, it's like really repeating the mechanics, and yeah, not top 50 material for me.
Yeah, we can get rid of it. Goodbye to Kirby. See you later, little pink boy. Klonoa, Daughter Phantomile. So yeah, I played the original Klonoa, and it came out obviously on Wii, but also the remaster came out recently. I did play the PS1 version, so I don't know if this counts at all, but I think I just want to shout it out because not a lot of people play Klonoa, and if you're a Nintendo fan, you're a platforming fan, most likely. So I would recommend you give those games a go, because they are very neat, very fun little things. Surprised me how much I liked it, and I think it's one of those that holds up quite well. So even the PS1 version I thought was pretty cool. It has some just cool mechanics where you like grab enemies and then you throw them to give yourself more height, and then like attach things, and you're throwing stuff into the foreground and the background, and use the kind of like, it was one of the first 2.5D games, right? And so it kind of used foreground and background in a really cool way. So yeah, shout out. Klonoa's great, and everyone should check it out.
Kururin.
Yeah, this obviously came out recently on the Switch Online service. It was the first time that I had played it, and it's a game that I'd heard about for years and years. A lot of people talked about it in the GBA era. I like it quite a lot. I think the problem with it is that it's in an era now where people have less patience, and so there are levels in this game that, man, you need to be a fucking saint in order to get through these without like swearing at yourself 100 times, right? I think it badly needs checkpointing, and I was able to do that because I could just save state at points where there's basically like health refill stations where you get through a hard section, then you get to a little health pool and you refill it a little bit, and then you can continue on. But I basically made my own checkpoints doing that by doing save states, and if I hadn't had that, I honestly don't think I would have finished this game, because it gets so fucking difficult and brutal towards the end that, like I said, you need to be very patient to play it. So I think it's great. I'd love them to make a new one. I don't think this old one holds up for a list like this. So there you go. Lego, I think it's Lego A Builder's Journey. I can't remember the full title, but yeah, this is a nice little narrative Lego game where you basically move pieces around to tell the story of like a father and son in a like non-verbalized way. Again, it's kind of silent storytelling with Lego, and it has a lot of charm to it. It's visually stunning, like looks amazing, and it's one of those games actually that like still works pretty well on Switch, despite the fact that a lot of people played it with like ray traced PCs, because it has like an amazing lighting system and that sort of stuff, like transferred over to Switch very nicely. And I think that it's a cool little thing that I'd recommend you check out. I think you'd really like it. But yeah, I don't think it's top 50 material for me, but it's another one that I would recommend you to check out at some point when games stop coming out ever.
Yes.
So,
yeah. That is not this day.
No.
Live Alive. Damn good game.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, I like it. I love that they brought it back.
I really, really love this game. I'm obviously just like in love with HD 2D. I love what they did in this game with HD 2D. It felt a lot more cinematic, and there's another game on this list we're about to get to that I feel like learned a lot from this game in terms of those cutscenes and how to make HD 2D impactful. And I think that it's a little raggedy around the edges come the end of the game, where it falls a bit more into some JRPG tropes, but I still think the ending's very strong. So the pre-ending is a little clunky, but the ending itself I think is really nice, and I would really love for this game to be in this top 50. I think it's definitely in the kind of 35 to 50 range, but I still think it's in there somewhere.
Wow. I think Live Alive's cool, but I don't see it as a top 50 material. I can see it being somewhere lower down. I think 35 is way too high, but somewhere lower down I can see. I'm happy for you to move it up, but yeah, I think it's going to have a hard time.
Shall we put it in at like 51 or 52 for now, whatever?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We can move it if needed. Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope, a game I still need to finish. Still on my backlog. But Bally, you did finish it. You weren't that hot on it.
Yeah, I think the world building is better than the first game, but I think mechanically there's basically a boss in the first game, the opera boss that everyone's talked about, that is just like, it's still the best thing across the two games, and there's maybe arguably a bit of bloat in Sparks of Hope, and yeah, the ending was good, the bosses are good, there's a couple levels in there that are just a bit crap, the game stops giving you new characters after a certain number of worlds, which feels strange because it feels like a real beat up until then. And it's a really good game, and I will probably play a third one if it comes out, but it is not in my top echelon of games, to be honest. And I don't even think it made my top 10, did it? I can't remember.
It didn't. I think we talked about it, and it didn't make our joint top 10.
Right, it didn't make the joint. So yeah, there's just no way it's getting anywhere near the top 50.
Yeah. Metroid fucking Dread. Now, Bally, for the last 10 years of this show, what is the one thing I have asked for more than anything else? It's a new fucking 2D Metroid. And not only did they do that... I thought we were going to say
for Metroid Prime to be removed from the
yeah, no, that as well. That also, yeah. We'll see. It's a shame I haven't gotten to that by this point.
Yeah, you had the official MBZ opinion on that game. But next time.
There's always time to remove Metroid Prime from any list. But, it would be remiss of me and us as a show to not take this game that I've been asking for years. And not only that, but they brought back the fucking name of the DS game it was originally going to be. Like, this game is fantastic. I absolutely adored it. Like, pound to pound, it's probably the best 2D Metroid. I'll always have personal nostalgia for Fusion, of course, but like when you talk about fluidity, playability, like people are looking at that new Prince of Persia game and being like, oh, that looks a bit like Metroid Dread. And Metroid Dread is known for its speed, fluidity, movement. It's like, it is one of those games that you pick up a controller and you're like, this is why I play video games. At least for me anyways. Like, just moving Samus is like, I'm already in heaven, right? So, I mean, this is top 20 material for me. I think potentially higher, but I know you like it a lot as well, Bally. Is it your favorite 2D Metroid?
It's my favorite 2D Metroid. It's a brutal game, but it's a fair game, and it was fun all the way through. It's atmospheric while still being very fast-paced. It's one of, if not the best, like 2.5D game I've played. I think it just has a really impressive look. And yeah, it's a top 20, potentially top 10 game for me, honestly. It's that good. I think it'd be fitting to maybe put it next to Eastward at the moment.
Yeah, sure. Let's put those together because they're both kind of they were the same year. Yeah.
So Eastward was 1 and Metroid Dread was 2 from 2021.
Yeah, I think so. 21. Yeah. Now the next game, Bally, we've not talked about on this show yet.
Well, let's just lay out what we've done with this game and explain. Yeah. So, we have played with our good friend of the show, Matt Lorgan. We have played, the three of us, Metroid Prime Federation Force. We have played it. We have beaten it. We have even recorded a podcast about it.
Yes.
You have not listened to that podcast yet.
No, because it was supposed to go up when I was going to go to Japan.
Exactly.
And then I didn't go to Japan.
Exactly.
And so we have it. It will come out at some point.
It is in the can.
Yes.
But between now and, let's say, I don't know, next few months, end of the year, like, at some point, me or MBZ is going to have, like, a busy weekend, a busy time. And at that point, one of us is going to pull the flare and say, look, we need to get Federation Force out there. And you will be able to listen to that glorious episode of us talking about Federation Force. In short, that game is really damn good. It's so much better than anyone ever gave it credit for. All three of us really liked it for broadly similar reasons. Mm-hmm. And this game, I think, definitely deserves to be in the top 50. And I would argue probably deserves to be in the top... Looking at the list... But in the top 37-ish.
Wow,
Low
okay.
30s.
Yeah.
Sorry, high 30s, I should say. Like nearly 40.
I like that fight.
What you think.
I like that fighting talk a lot. My thing with this is like if it found it hard to get in just because it's a tough competition, this is maybe the best symbolic number 50 ever made. But I think
this is a very good solid symbolic number 50. Yeah, you are
right.
But
I think it can get a bit higher if we want it to.
It could. Shall we go 38 for now?
Sure, fuck it. We're going to be the people who put Metroid Prime Federation Force
Let's
as
just
the
take a
38th
slot
best
of
game
Wind
ever
Waker,
made.
for God's sake. But yeah.
Damn it. Oh, it's great. That's perfect.
Okay, well, everything's
good.
movable. These are just rough positions for now.
Yeah. That's how it goes.
All right. Mini Motorways. That's a really fun game. It came to Switch. I played it. Me and Caroline played way too much of that game, trying to beat each other's scores. It's a great little high score game. There's no way it's making the top 50 list, but I'll stick it below the bar for now.
Nobody Saves the World. I feel like we're on the opposite side of this conversation where we didn't really like this game that much. And I think it's maybe Drinkbox's worst game, unfortunately.
I don't think there were a ton of people who loved it, though.
No, there weren't. There were just a few people who did.
Definitely, like, the Ben Hansons of this world just loved it. But
yeah.
My podcasting circles, other than him, I don't feel like loved it.
I think Dan Riker was very into it. Fire Escape were very into it.
That's a shout. Yeah, that's true.
They had it in their top 10, I think. I don't know. I didn't really vibe with it. And it's made me think, would I like Diablo? Because I think a lot of people have compared it to that.
Great point. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, this isn't making top 50.
No, but I'm sorry. Drinkbox, you're cool. Severed. Is Severed anywhere around our list? I think it might have been at one point.
Severed was low before and got bounced out.
The best Drinkbox game, Severed. I love it.
It's not even one of the red games currently, so it was bounced out a long time ago.
My goodness. Well, maybe someone will bring Severed back at the end, you could say. I don't know. I have no idea what I'm bringing back yet. I have to figure that out. More importantly,
Octopath Traveler 2.
Okay, Bally, can we just do a thing now, even though we're not supposed to? Can we just delete Octopath Traveler and put Octopath Traveler 2 there instead? It would make me very happy to just do that right now.
We can do that for now, but Octopath Traveler 2 needs to be so much higher than Octopath Traveler was.
I mean, it's at 31. That's pretty good.
I mean, I'm impressed Octopath Traveler 1 is at 31.
Look, you are on a mission with Octopath Traveler, right? And have been for a while.
That's all these games I sacrificed for the slaughter. It's for Octopath Traveler. Like, that's the reason. So, yeah, Octopath Traveler 2 can be 31 for now.
Yeah. I've started it, by which I mean I played about an hour before Zelda came out, and then whoops, Zelda came out. So, yeah, it's cool so far, but we'll see.
Yeah. Do you actually think you will beat that game this year?
Yeah, I probably will. I'll find time.
You probably will. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, exciting. I think so. Exciting. I mean, maybe I won't do the whole thing, but I'll get a good amount into it at least and get a good sense of it. So,
you got to beat the final boss. Come on.
Yeah, I didn't do that last time. Don't need to do it this time.
I don't. But it's different for the first game versus
the
second game.
I know.
Okay.
But
see what you think. See what you think.
Ollie World. This is a personal pet favorite of mine. Like, I just love movement in games, and Ollie is a series all about that, and I think this is the best version that they've put together so far. Like, the look of it, the vibrancy, the fucking high score chasing, like, I think it's really good, and I would love to see it on there. It might be hard to get it on, but I do think it has a shot, like, near the bottom, potentially.
Let's stick it at the bottom, and it can be in that fight.
Yeah, I think it's like, you really liked it as well, and I think it's just
I did like it a lot.
It's just such a fun kind of melding of platformer and sports, like skateboarding thing, right?
It's got a really nice overworld that links the levels nicely, and like some cool characters, and it's got a good vibe. Versus, in my opinion, the other Ollies have an awful vibe, but are still nice playing games.
Sure,
whereas this game fixes the vibe and keeps the mechanics and makes them even better, more smooth, and it was a really cool game, and obviously appealed to a way wider audience being on Switch and everything. But yeah, it was
a lot of complexity to it as well, right? Like there's levels at which you can perform in that game, and like there were points at which with that level we're going back and forth on where my fingers are holding like 12 buttons at the same time and switching between them because of the complex movements and stuff that you do in the grinding in that game. It's a lot of fun.
Omno, weird little kind of third person action adventure, what's the word? It's kind of like one of those artsy platforming kind of style games. Kind of Journey vibes a little bit. Yeah, a little bit Journey. You can totally see its inspirations, but it's just a very strange game, and
yeah, it's fine.
It's totally fine. It's nowhere near. Oh, why have I put it at 64? That's not what I meant to do.
Omno apparently going to get on the list.
Below the bar.
Yeah. Omno's fine. It's cool. Another game I would say is cool and fine is Part-Time UFO. I like this thing. I think you did more of it than I did. I didn't go for all the 100%ing and everything. Yeah,
I like it a lot, but there's no way it reaches top 50. But HAL need to make more small, cute, cool games, because this and Box Boy are fantastic. And It's cool, but it doesn't make this list.
Yeah. Pokemon. We've got a double bill of Pokemon here. We've got Legends Arceus, and we have Scarlet and
There's
Violet.
currently only one Pokemon game on, or two technically, I guess, is
Yeah.
Gold and Silver.
I think the thing that Gold and Silver has is that it really blew the doors open and was innovative and doing things that games hadn't done before in a lot of ways. And obviously Pokemon was quite new, but was doing stuff that the Pokemon series hadn't done before and stuck with people for that reason. And I would argue that both these games do that, but one does it more than the other, and that is Pokemon Legends Arceus. And I do think this is the biggest step forward that Pokemon has made in its entire existence since Pokemon Blue, basically, right? Like, every game has followed such a strict formula for so long, and Legends Arceus came out there and was like, yeah, but what if we did something different? And I think it just does something that I have wanted Pokemon to do, which is to break out a mold and try something new, and it was really successful at it, and I enjoyed it a great deal, and I think it deserves to be on this list. I would say, I'd say it's not above Pokemon Gold and Silver, though, so let's put it underneath that, I think.
Okay.
I think it goes somewhere
53 for now, then.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to put Scarlet Violet below the line.
You know, Scarlet Violet, we talk about games on other systems not running well on Switch, and Scarlet Violet is like, you know, it's one of those where you're like, oh, that's a PS4 game, right? Did they port it to Switch? Nope. A
PS4 game would run okay. Well, no, actually, it wouldn't run on Switch. It depends, but yeah. It's,
Witcher 3, you know, stuff like that. So, yeah.
Okay, interesting one here. Portal.
Yeah.
Now, first of all, does it pass the rule I described earlier? I think it maybe does. If you imagine a world where...
I think it does, because you played it on Switch.
Well, yeah, but if you imagine a world where Portal comes to all the platforms, including Switch, are we going to play it on other systems ahead of Switch?
Probably not, no.
Probably not.
No.
Mainly because it's a puzzle game, not necessarily like a fast-paced shooter.
Well, I think the other part of this test is like, does it run well enough on Switch to where you would legitimately recommend it? And I think Portal absolutely does, because you played it on Switch. It's a good version, so.
Because this was my game of the year that didn't come out that year, wasn't it? From last year.
Oh, it was pretty high up. I can't remember if it was number one. Yeah, but it was pretty high up.
I think it might be number. Anyway,
really? Okay.
I think this game should be on the list.
Yeah, I guess. I have a funny time with Portal because I think it's remarkable. Like, I always see it on people's lists, and I always am like, yeah, I recognize that. But whenever I think about my favorite games, I never think of it for whatever reason. Like, I recognize its legitimacy, and I recognize its innovation and its entire invention of a genre, essentially. But I don't know. It's cool. It's a neat game. I like Portal. I don't know, for whatever reason, I never think of it in top list potential.
Our highest puzzler is The Gardens Between at 24.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Let's put Portal on the list. Yeah, I get it. Okay, but where are you thinking for now? I wouldn't put it that high personally.
40s or 30s?
I personally like Gorogoa more than Portal.
We'll go below Gorogoa.
Yeah, that's the kind of puzzle person I am, but you know.
Okay, right. Portal
works around there.
Sayonara Wild Hearts.
Yeah,
I can't
very
remember
cool.
what type of game this is, honestly.
It's like it's a music game where you're like on a motorbike going forward, like a runner almost, right?
Yeah.
Like you're running through environments and flipping and doing tricks, and it's super short. I enjoyed it for what it was. I never really went back to it and played it again. So, but I thought it was neat, and it was good on Switch as well. Played it on Switch, so Sayonara Wild Hearts is a neat little thing. I like it, but I don't think it makes it below the bar. Okay. Let's put it down. Down.
Splatoon 3. Shall we Octopath it?
Yes. By which you mean delete Splatoon 2 from the list and put Splatoon 3 there
2.
instead.
Yeah. Because we like our list to be representative of taste. Like, we don't want too many games from the same genre and series.
No.
And especially when the game is quite iterative, like Splatoon 2 into Splatoon 3. Oh, I messed that up.
That's fine. It's all good. It's all magic over here. Google Docs, everybody's favorite. You've just done Splatoon. You've done Splatoon 2, Splatoon 2, which kind of read like a Fast and Furious movie for a second there. Like now I'm imagining fucking Vin Diesel in a car with an Inkling head on.
So Splatoon 3 is currently number 45.
Cool.
so we can discuss that later.
Yeah, but I think like Splatoon 3 for me, mainly from a single player perspective, is such a huge step up from the second game that I think it really deserves to be here.
I said in my top games that year, I think it made my number 10, and I said the reason this is here, not Kirby, is because I think this single player campaign has more Nintendo juice than like Kirby does, and it's just like that Nintendo energy, that Nintendo level of innovation and design and creativity that is just oozing in that campaign, especially the boss fights and that end game campaigns. Like really, really good stuff.
I mean, this game even has a Mario Sunshine boss fight in it, and I like it. So you know, that's pretty. It's pretty sterling stuff. Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania. I put this in here because basically it's like it's both Monkey Balls together, and they're both really good. And I think we've had Monkey Ball on this list before. I'm not sure if it is anymore.
I've just forgotten the game. I forgot Advance Wars Reboot Camp.
Oh, I mean, do you want to do that versus original Advance Wars? Would you take it over? That's a question. Would you take it over original Advance Wars? Maybe a question to come to.
I mean, it's great because it's 2 games in one.
Sure. But I mean, Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania, would I take this over the original number 2 individually? I mean, yeah, probably. It's a more modern way to play it. I think it's good. It's a fun time.
1 and 2 aren't in the list either, so...
No, they're not. And this kind of does both together. You know, I think previously we've bumped Monkey Ball off the list because it's like, oh, MBZ, you played that when you were a kid. That's nostalgia talking. You don't really like it. And what I will say...
I don't think that was the reason.
Well, maybe it was. Who knows? I can make up stuff. Now, here's the thing. I played this very recently, and it's great. And it also was so good to go back and, like, finish those levels that I never was able to finish when I was younger.
I'm very impressed you actually managed to finish them.
Yeah, I did it all. I did all of the Super Monkey Ball 2 campaign. There's so much stuff in here, all the mini games, all the original levels. I think it's the best way to play Monkey Ball, if I'm honest, these days. So I would love to see it represented on there because this is really one of my favorite series, and we just don't see many games like this ever made. So I would like to see it on there.
Let's get it in at number between like 50 and 60, yeah?
Yeah, just plop it somewhere there.
Okay,
we'll do a melange of stuff.
Oh god, there's a few games dropped out the top 50 here. VVVVV.
It's coming back.
Land Shake Dimension.
It'll be massaged.
Advance Wars got booted off anyway.
It's fine, it'll be massaged. Switch Sports, Bally, tell me about it.
It's fun. We had a good time for like 2 nights.
Well, we played it more than that. We played like 2 weeks.
It was really fun actually. Like the football was really fun. The volleyball was fun, like not table tennis, the badminton, like... Yeah,
badminton was good, like badminton a lot.
I think we've just naturally got like a lot of like Nintendo quirky energy where we're like, this is like Wii Sports, this is fun, we're playing it again, and so it had like that nostalgic, we're playing Wii Sports again on top of the fact that we generally like have a good time with most things Nintendo put out, so it just kind of like hit both notes for us, but at the same time... Yeah. The free golf DLC came out. We never went back to it. We played this game more than most, but it's still... I think we needed more of a hype machine behind this thing to stay motivated enough. And there's no way it gets anywhere near the top 50. But
yeah, I mean, we don't even have the original Wii Sports on this list, I think. So
yeah.
Which I probably would put that above Switch Sports. Would you? I don't know.
Good question. I'd stick with Switch Sports. I think if you asked me to play, I think our initial definition was like, if you're on a desert island and you had to play 50 games, I'd still pick Switch Sports over Wii Sports.
Wow.
Although I do miss baseball. Maybe baseball.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, for me, I think the Joy-Con controls just aren't quite as good as the Wii Remote controls. Just Joy-Cons have weird. So? They just have weird stuff to them.
But they've got a lot more tech in them, and that's how they allow you to do stuff like badminton and
but like they don't the nice thing about the Wii Remote is that the IR sensor allows you to reset stuff without always having to like do the whole reset on it, you know what I mean? Like there's a weird way in which you get out of sync, and you have to keep, same with Skyward Sword on Switch, it's like you just keep resetting again and again because there is no IR sensor like the Wii had to kind of make it more smooth. So yeah. Taiko no Tatsujin, Drum and Fun. I mean, this game is absolute hoot. I really like it a lot, even more so because I have the drum controller, and that's just the best way to play this thing. I wish I played it more. It's just one of those things that like getting that drum controller out, and basically because it makes noise, like you have to put a pillow underneath it to dampen the noise, otherwise the whole house sounds like I'm fucking smashing something upstairs. And so yeah, it's definitely circumstantial game when I play it, but whenever I do bust it out and play some songs, it's always a good time. I wish it had a slowdown mode, which it doesn't, like a mode where you can actually learn the notes, because some of those songs are just like, they're so brutal, and I'm like, how do you even learn this? Like, I guess I just have to go to Japanese arcades, and that's the solution. But yeah, I think it's really good fun, and I recommend getting the drum controller to play this, because I don't know how much fun it is without it, if I'm honest. Like, it feels like that's the way to do it, so it's very good.
I think we've got 13 more games. The end is in sight. Here we go. Right.
Oh, boy.
The Artful Escape.
Yeah. I love this game.
Does it pass the test? We'd play this on Switch.
100%. 100%.
Okay.
Yeah. I love The Artful Escape. I think it is it's just a kaleidoscope of a video game, right? Like, it's colors and sound and just style. Like, it has such a sense of self, and I think it's such a ride that I just enjoyed the whole way through. Like, it has stuff where people are like, well, it's not really a rhythm game, and like, I get that, but that's not really what it's going for. It's much more going for it's narrative and kind of like selling that kind of dream of being a rock star, right? Like the whole shredding and sliding down hills, and like, it's just like pure color and bliss, and I think it does it tremendously. And it also has like maybe the best character customization moment in a game, where they use the character customization for a narrative moment.
Cool. That was very good.
I thought was excellently done. And,
you go and you walk around this whole like virtual shopping mall.
Yeah,
that was very good.
It's tremendous. Like, I would love to see this on the list. I would argue for it.
I like it a lot. Did it make my top 10? Maybe it was low down. I can't remember. Yeah, you like this game a ton more than me, but I did have a good time with it. It can be in the mix for the bottom.
Put it in the mix. Shake it about.
There's a lot of games
Get the
in
mix.
the mix.
Well, it's always going to happen, and we'll figure it out.
It's going to happen.
It's fine. It's fine. So, Bally, you've separated the great Ace Attorney games. I would unseparate them for the simple reason that they are just one story. And if I'm honest, like, the first game doesn't work without the second game. The first game essentially ends on a cliffhanger and doesn't answer a bunch of questions, and you need the second game in order to understand it. So, despite it being released as a, quote, collection, it is one story, and it shouldn't be treated separately, I don't think. So that's why I would say it is one thing as the Great Ace Attorney. If there would be one game on this list that isn't the first game, which we already have as kind of a representative of the series, it would probably be this one. I think there's a few good reasons to argue for it. One, it is separated from the rest of the series, and so it's another good starting point for the series for people to get into. It has a really cool setting, a historic setting that's very different from the rest of the games, because they're all otherwise set in modern Japan, and this, or quote-unquote America, even when they were localized, even though it's clearly Japan. But this is set in the UK during a period of like Japanese and UK like cultural exchange, essentially, and lots of interesting historical parts of it.
That is a very intriguing setting. I do want to play this game.
Yeah, so like I would take this or the first game on the list. You've played the first game, so it probably makes more sense representatively. But if there was another one to put on, it would probably be this one. And I think the second game and the back half of this is one of the best in the series in terms of its reveals, its music, actually. That's the thing that for me that makes it stand up. It has tracks that are some of the best in the series, and just some of my favorite music tracks of all time in games. Like, an excellent soundtrack that like narratively works as well. I always talk about that one track that it is a spoiler, but holy shit, like when that hits, wow, like absolute wow. It's pretty great. So I don't know, what do you think, Bally? Should we keep the first game on the list? What do you think?
I really like the first game. It's currently sitting at 44, so even by the end of this discussion, it might be wobbling out of the top 50. But I think we can only fit one in the top 50 probably. Yeah. But I'm happy to add this game in the long list to the
we'll discuss it later. Let's put it
right.
There
We'll add it to the great list, the great Ace Attorney.
The great list.
Okay, there's a tricky one coming up.
Very tricky. Very tricky.
The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom.
Game neither of us have finished yet.
Yeah, I mean, I've been woefully busy the last 2-3 weeks, and I'm still sitting on like between 40 and 45 hours, one dungeon in. So my view definitely is not a fixed view, but my view is definitely that it's in the top 2 between this and Breath of the Wild. I still think
Okay.
From what I've played, I'd argue it's there.
Yeah.
I don't know which way around yet. I don't think I will know. I might not even know until next year or episode 300. But I'd put this game number 2 for now, personally.
I don't know. I just don't know how to feel about this game. Because it is Breath of the Wild, and it is better in a lot of ways, and yet it has none of the pure impact that first game did. And for me, that matters a huge deal.
None.
I mean, it has some of it, right? Like, there's lots of moments, lots of great moments, but they are not as frequent. The thing with Breath of the Wild, every moment was an impactful moment. Tears of the Kingdom, those are the same horses from before, they work the same. The dog, you still can't pet it again. There are things that, the cooking works the same, and like all this stuff it's so familiar that it almost becomes like you internalize it. And I come to this game and I'm like, I know what this is. It's a known quantity in a certain way, and obviously there is a lot of difference, and there's a huge amount of difference, but I don't know. I feel like I might become one of those people who takes Breath of the Wild over Tears of the Kingdom just from a pure impact standpoint, and from a pure emotional standpoint.
I'm interested to see that debate in the next 5 years, but
yeah.
If you don't know what to do right now, this is a bad question because you're still in the middle of it.
I'm playing Tears of the Kingdom, so I'd continue to play.
I want to ask you that question in a year and a year's time, when you've beaten this game, seen everything you want to see. If you had to pick one up from scratch, which one would you rather play? And equally, that's a hard question because Breath of the Wild is not the same the second time round. And
no,
Tears of the Kingdom probably wouldn't be either. But I'm.
Like, another thing I'm thinking about is most of the outfits in this game, a lot of them are rewards, and that's cool. But a lot of them, almost all of them, were in the first game. There's maybe 3 outfits I've got that are different or new ones. I totally understand how it took this long to make this game, but there are certain things about it that I'm like, wow, you really just did the same thing again. And I don't mean to come up around negative about this game that everyone is going fucking gaga for, because I also feel that way. There's a moment in this game that I did that my jaw was just on the fucking floor the whole time I did it. I was like, wow. And then there's a reveal that happens. I'm like, no fucking way, dude. I've had those moments with this game, so absolutely it deserves to be in the conversation. I just don't know what to do about it on this list right now. So yeah, I'm not sure. This is where I would, on a personal list, I would just cheat and put them together, because that's what I would do. And I appreciate that's not what we do on this list. But I would just cheat and put them together, because fucking who cares? But yeah,
I think this game's going to be very high on our list this time round. I think we have to just put the caveat that A, we need to beat the game, and B, we need time to simmer on.
Are we allowed to put it on this list? Because we haven't finished it. We just haven't finished it, right? Would we do that with any other game?
We could do
just
that.
Because it's Zelda. Do we have to do this?
It is being disqualified.
All right, I'm happy about it.
I'm happy to disqualify it.
Yeah, let's do it,
because then when it does come on the list, and it will come on the list next time,
yes,
we'll have a really strong opinion on how we jointly feel where it should be.
Yeah, I don't think it's right to preemptively put it there when even me at 105 hours, I feel like I have barely scratched the surface.
I know. I asked you how much of the abyss have you seen, and you were like, maybe under 40%. I was like, what?
yeah. It's unfathomably huge.
Okay, so that makes sense. I think that's the best move. And sorry to disappoint people who might have wanted a spicy.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a bit of flavor of some of that, but
yeah,
we'll get back to it, and maybe I will be one of those people who put Codename Steam on a list above Tears of the Kingdom, because that's who I am. But
it's the best game below the bar so far.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Tinykin. Well, a game I really loved from last year and was just fresh, and those green Tinykin you use to stack up vertically and then jump off and glide that's definitely a mechanic I'd be like, I would have welcomed that in Mario Odyssey or something. It was really just that one mechanic that really sold this game for me, and it does this game get a bit long. I think it ended at just the right time, but talking about I think a lot of people compared Kirby Forgotten Land last year to Mario Odyssey, and I think Tinykin is just so much more similar to Mario Odyssey than Kirby ever will be, and it just felt fresh, and the art style was nice, and the abilities of the Tinykin was nice, and it was just this perfect blending of Pikmin mechanics and open world platforming, like really large spaces to explore and platform around and glide. Like having the glide is a great mechanic in this game, and it deserves a lot of credit for that. I really want this on the list, and on a personal top 50, this would be fairly high up my list, and I'd love to argue for it to be at least 30s, 40s. Personally.
Wow, that's quite high, but I respect it. I like Tinykin a lot. I think it's neat. I think it's cool. I don't know that it like hits me with like innovation
this
or
list
like
is
anything.
Getting very good. Like to get as high as I suggested is a fantasy. List, so,
but if you want to put it somewhere on the list and we can chop it or put it up, then that's fine.
See, a game like Spiritfarer is currently sitting at 47.
Well, yeah,
and
but the thing, Bally, is that we will reorganize this. So don't read into any of the numbers because everyone's putting stuff at the bottom, so it's fine.
Let's put it in the mix because we're going to do the shuffle and the chop.
Yeah,
and that's the tough bit.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. I mean, we're not beat 'em up people, but I think this is one of the best ones that I've played. I enjoyed it a good amount. It was fun co-oping it together. It's always fun co-oping stuff, but Shredder's Revenge is good. I think we can delete it off the list because that's not this show, and probably won't be ever. Even if you make the best beat 'em up of all time, I'm sorry.
Because just before that, or the year before, maybe it was 2 years before that, we'd played. There was the one that came to
Streets of Rage 4. Yeah,
Streets of Rage 4. Yeah, that was very good fun.
Yeah, it's an awesome
I probably
game.
enjoyed that more than TMNT.
I think so as well. I just like the art style of Streets of Rage.
Streets of Rage, yes.
More.
Yes.
But yeah. Toem.
Almost there.
You didn't play Toem, did
I've
you?
not played it yet. I need to play Toem. But
it's very similar, I would say, to Alba. Like, it's a similar vibe of you're going around and you're taking pictures and stuff, right? But this one's slightly different because it's from a isometric perspective and you're like moving between different locations and then you kind of like get enough stamps in your book and then you move on to the next one on a bus, and it's wholesome and cute and fun and adorable, and I think it's a great like game to play in a couple of evenings, and I think you'll have a great time with it. But it's not a top 50 game, not top 50 material, so not making it. Triangle Strategy. I think this is probably my favorite HD 2D game, if I'm honest. I think the brutality of the tactics can probably turn some people off. It was a real challenge, and I think you kind of have to rewire your brain in terms of, I have a Fire Emblem brain, and so my entire intention with strategy games is like, I need to keep everybody alive, and then I realized that something like Triangle Strategy, it's not what you're supposed to do, because that is impossible with the amount that they throw at you and all that sort of stuff. There are moments throughout that campaign where I had one person left alive and I was just fucking eking it out, like barely making it through. That's how most of my
Fire Emblem missions go, to be honest.
Sure, yeah, sure. But like this game can get fucking brutal, and I think that might be the thing that kind of doesn't make it onto the list. I like it a lot. You haven't played it yet. I think there's other strategy games from Fire Emblem that I would probably put on this list above Triangle Strategy. But I think Triangle Strategy is really good, and it was one of those games that I did actually start it straight again after finishing it. I went straight into New Game Plus, and I was like, oh, I actually do want to kind of keep playing this. And inevitably, I fell off it because that's what happens. But yeah, I would like to go back to it at some point as well. So yeah, I highly recommend it. The only problem is it's a 50-hour time sink, so it's a lot. It's a big game, as is the case with all these
off the list for now.
Games. Yeah, we're getting bloated here. I don't think it makes it. Ultimately, I don't think it makes sense.
Has the fact it begins with the letter T gone against it? That's
no, I don't think so. There are other RPGs that I would fight for. Let's say so.
5 interesting games remaining. Let's
very
let's
interesting.
Do this.
Yeah,
Tunic. What a game!
I mean, Tunic has to be. I mean, it has to be on this list.
This is definitely top 20, top 10 potential in my view.
Yeah, for sure. Like, the revelations in Tunic, holy shit. Like, I don't think I've been as obsessed. Like, I remember getting to that point in Tunic, and all I did for the rest of the day was just sit there with a fucking notepad and pencil and Photoshop open and, like, multiple like things to try and I honestly felt like a madman, like writing things down and losing my mind. And like it has the single best puzzle in any game I've ever played. And like alongside that, it's a pretty solid Zelda game, right? Like I think that's the weakest aspect of it. I don't like the combat very much in Tunic, and I very much appreciate that they let you turn it off, because I did, and I didn't really fight a lot of the end game stuff.
It's a good example, like I was saying about Death's Door, that I think the combat is stronger in Death's Door than Tunic, but
yeah, but like I don't think Death's Door has anything on the stuff that Tunic does, right?
Oh, not at all.
Tunic, from a game design standpoint, is so much more interesting and revelatory, and
it was the big puzzle you're talking about. Break that down to its most simple component.
Yes.
And I remember walking into a house, seeing a thing on a wall, having a rough idea what I might need to do, trying it out, and then a chime sound. A chime went off telling me that I'd successfully done the thing, and I just felt like that's the smartest I've ever felt playing a video game.
Yep.
And then I told you about this, and you're like, bloody hell, Bally, that was really impressive. I was like, got NVZ's approval and everything. Like this game's great. And then obviously that puzzle gets much more complicated. And
oh boy, does it!
It was like the best puzzle in any game. I actually even didn't mind the combat and fought every single boss in this game fairly until the very end, and struggled on the final boss. But again, you don't actually have to defeat that final boss.
No, you don't.
Plays into the story, which is impressive, and I think the story's really cool as well. Like some really dark themes, some really cool locations you go to, and just the slow reveal of the world is the most immaculate Zelda like 2D experience I've ever had, where you feel smart, you feel like you're working out where to, like, it's a very dense, small world, and it links up in so many ways that you gradually keep uncovering. And the use of not the map, the guidebook. The guidebook? Is it the guidebook?
The manual?
The manual, exactly, where there's just things hinting at things, and you try those things out, and some of them stick, and you feel like a genius, and others you have to keep working on. And it's those moments that stick, and you feel like a genius. I had that 5, 10, 15 times, like 20 times by the end of the game, where I just felt so smart. And yes, I still had to maybe look up a handful of things, but the things you work out yourself, and it's a little, I would argue, it's somewhere that maybe 2D Zelda could work on. Like this game is teaching 2D Zelda. Like 2D Zelda likes to be quite, yes, it's got its own puzzles, but they're quite explained puzzles. Like this game is so good at dropping hints that make you try things, and it's something that I think we've maybe forgotten a bit in video games, is that like the satisfaction of dropping hints, working things out, and doing them. Games like Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, Elden Ring do these, but
it's not holding your hand, basically.
It's not holding your hand, but this is the first game in a while that has done it in like a 2D top-down Zelda setting so successfully, and it's just a phenomenal game. And MBZ, you were lucky enough to meet the maker, and
I did.
I'm so jealous.
Yeah, I went up to Andrew Shouldice. I met him at GDC briefly and was like, "Man, you made the best thing." Yeah, it's so good. So that was very cool. And I mean, I think the best thing about it, like you were saying, is it captures that feeling that people had for the original Zelda. Except it's like it's fun to play, not to denigrate
it's modern.
that.
It looks good. It's great. I love it. I'll stick at number 10 for now.
Oh wow, really that high? I think let's put it around our Eastward Metro Dread area. And
all right, it's number 15.
We can start moving stuff in and about there, but yeah.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
I'm just scared, man. You know.
Unpacking.
I think like one of the smartest ways a game has told a story in a while, like just a really cool way of getting a narrative across. I like Unpacking a good amount. I think for me, not that it got long in the tooth, but by the end I was like, okay, I'm kind of done with this mechanic. So I think like it tells a great story and does it really uniquely. I personally find it hard to like put it on this list, but I know you like it more than I do. So what do you think, Bally?
It's probably in like the top 3 indies I would fight for at like the bottom of the list, but I know that I'm only going to win on those indies on ones that you also care about. So
sure,
I think it's a losing battle, and I think that I love the mechanic. I think I'd argue it is quite one note, and by that final room or two, you're right. It's like,
because you're doing that entire house at the end, right?
Yeah, here we go. Here's the whole, and it was cute and fun, and I like the way that it is a unique form of storytelling. Something we love to reward on this show, and it deserves huge credit for that. And everyone, it was interesting, like the commentary about this game is kind of everyone having like a little different theory as to like who this person was and who they broke up with and who didn't, and all these things. But anyway, unique storytelling, but the one mechanic of the game does get a little bit tiring at the very end, which is a shame. It just needed to be like an hour shorter. Yeah, because I think it took me maybe like 4, 5, 6 hours. And I'll put it below the line because I think there's other things I want to fight for. But unpacking is fantastic.
Cool. I mean, speaking of things to fight for. How do you feel about Untitled, Bally? Because I fucking love this game. This, like, for me, this is the best representation of traditional Zelda from a smaller studio that's ever been made. Honestly, I think Untitled is fantastic.
Yeah, it does all the things that games like Tunic and Death's Door are doing, but it's doing it in its own way. It does it in the most traditional way, and it's got its very own art style compared to those games. And this game needs to be on this list. It needs, in my opinion, it needs to be high on this list.
I'm thinking like at least in the 30s for now, right? That's kind of where I'm feeling it.
I mean, every time I say 30s, you look at number 30 to 40 at the moment.
Yes, it's fine. We'll move stuff around. We'll get there.
Absolute bangers 30 to 40. So
yeah, there are.
That's...
Look, I would take it above Metroid Prime, number 33. So,
After that, what would you take it above?
I mean, honestly, I would probably take Chained Echoes above Unsighted. But it's a personal thing because I'm more of an RPG boy. But I can see it like... I would take it above Katana Zero, I think. Would you? Like, I like Katana Zero a huge amount. And I think that one was quite hot last time because... you had played it very recently.
Let's go 37 for now then.
Yeah. I think it sits around there for me.
Because then it definitely deserves to be above this messy debate we're going to have at the bottom.
Yeah, eventually. Definitely. I think it should be
much
above
better than that.
Yeah, for sure.
WarioWare gets it together.
It didn't quite get it together. I mean, I enjoyed it. I liked it. But I don't think the kind of weird moving around the characters thing stuck with people. I did play a bit of it afterwards because they had the whole like weekly challenge thing, and I remember James Jones on RFN was doing that, and I was trying to fight his scores for a little bit there, and that was fun. But yeah, it's one of those that I kind of need to go back to a bit more. And WarioWare's always a good time, but I think there are better WarioWares, and I don't. Is there a WarioWare on our list previously? Usually we go with Twisted. Twisted's our go-to.
Twisted was scraping in at the bottom before, but it hasn't for a while, to my knowledge. No. It's always a candidate to bring back at that number 50 slot, but
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's
not there.
Let's go below the bar.
Yeah.
I guess, and that's everything. So
that's every video game. No, of course, Bally. So the game that needs to go at number 1 on the list is Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and we'll just put it at number 1 for now, and we'll leave it for later. So here's the bit of horse trading that I would like to do.
Oh God!
You would like to get Octopath Traveler 2 high on this list. I'm cool with that, as long as I can get Xenoblade Chronicles 3 also high on this list.
Higher or lower?
I mean, here's the thing. You're going to say, Embury said Xenoblade Chronicles 1 and 3 on the same list. That's
we're going to take out Xenoblade Chronicles
exactly.
now.
You're going to say that. And I'm going to say, no, these games are thematically, ideologically different. They are unique stories unto themselves with their own worlds and ideas and characters. They are both very distinct voices. And they may be a part of the same series, but... we got Ori and the Will of Wisps and, the other one on here.
I'm happy for this game to be high, but you've got to accept that the first game's going to fall. It'll still be on the list. Don't worry. It's still going to... it can't go from 14th off the list, but I'm just saying it's going to be lower. Look at Wind Waker struggling down here at what?
Yeah. There's lots of Zelda games on this list.
Wind Waker's at 41.
Who knows where it's going to end up. But, yes, I'm trying to reconcile with myself, which is the game that I would like to fight for more.
I know you're going to fight for 3 more than 1. I know you are.
I don't know if I am. I think the thing with the original game is I just really love it. I really do. From a narrative perspective, it's just such
you played the remix
of a game?
Or the remaster?
I did. Yeah. So I think
so. Maybe we could mention that, but yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to reconcile. I think obviously, like you said, one of them has to go down. One of them can stay up. I would say for now, because I have recently played 3 and just played the DLC that kind of caps off the entire thing, like it's very high in my mind right now. So yeah, I think over time 3 could probably... I mean, 3 has a moment that is maybe my number 1 favorite moment in all of video games. Like, it is just exceptionally done. I won't talk about moments. It's more of a story thing, right? In terms of story stuff, like, it is maybe my favorite narrative moment in anything I've ever played. So it is very hot for me, and yeah, I think it's probably the one I'd fight for a bit more than the first one.
Here's a little fun bit
newness.
of trivia I've just worked out.
Okay.
But without looking at the list, guess, and I could be wrong, I've reread the list a few times. Guess what numbered game is the first game on the list that I've not played?
Like 12 or something?
From what I can see,
Yeah.
it's number 36 with Chained Echoes.
Wow.
So my point is that this would be the highest game on the list that I've not played by a mile.
That's true. I have also not really played Octopath Traveler 2, however, and I am willing to do some horse bargaining.
Yeah.
So, you know, the table is open. There's no fixed rule that we both have had to play. There are no fixed rules that we have both have had to play in order for it to get in the top echelon. Passion is what speaks here, you know. Let me tell you, I've got some passion for Xenoblade Chronicles 3 bleeding out of me.
I get that. You always end up trying to fight for too many things.
No, I know I do, and that's, you know, it's a tricky thing.
That a lot of that is going to be for Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Shall we go in it? Can it go alongside Tunic, Eastward, and Dread at the moment?
Yeah, let's put it in there. Let's put it in there for now, and then we can do a bit of horse trade and horse betting. I think that works for me. Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
There we go.
Up in the business, where it belongs. In that top echelon of video games.
Well, that was a damn long list. I didn't think we'd get there. So I think we did that in an hour 41. I have it on my timer, which is pretty good.
Yeah, so I guess at this point, we have how many games, Bally, total?
We have 72 games.
Okay. What do you want to do now? What should we do now?
I think we're going to go to the break, but after the break, we are going to have a proper shuffle of that bottom chunk. So maybe like number, 30 down to 72. We need to like really think about what do we actually want in that top 50? What is scraping in? At the moment, Spiritfarer is sitting at 50. It's scraping in. And there's a ton of great games below it that are obviously potentially getting the chop. So we're going to shuffle those games. What needs to scrape into the top 50? Then we're going to do a hard cut. And we'll have our 50 games left. And once we have our 50 games, we're then going to go bottom to top, shuffling, bringing stuff up, bringing stuff down, doing some trading, see where we go. And then at the very end, we might bring back 2 games that we want to just mention. Are they worth a discussion? Are they worth, is there any point in raising these 2 games? Can they get on this list? Either they will get in the list or they won't. And then we will officially have our top 50 games on Nintendo platforms of all time for episode 250.
All right, well, we'll see you after this. All right, everyone, welcome back to the next part of today's show. It's time to dive deep into this list. We currently have 72 games that we need to get down to 50. Before we do that, Bally, there are a few games that we hadn't discussed, which are games that you have played since last time that may not have been on the list, and I haven't brought them. I've played them in the past, so there's like a reassessment going on here.
Right.
So let's go through this list and see how you feel about them.
Yeah. Okay. This should be pretty quick, I think.
Yeah.
But To the Moon had already gone off the list. I played To the Moon. I like To the Moon. I'm not wowed by To the Moon, and for me, it's not close to the top 50.
Yeah, that's fine. I think we already discussed with Imposter Factory that was probably going to be the case.
Exactly.
So, that makes sense.
Dead Cells is currently sitting at number...
I mean, it's somewhere on the list. I don't think the numbers matter at this point in time.
Yeah, it doesn't
because
really
we've messed
matter.
it up. So
I'd be keen that Dead Cells is somewhere on the list. I've not really decided where, but I like Dead Cells a lot. I think it should be on the list.
It's very good. All right, cool. We'll see how it goes.
Hyperlight Drifter. I like Hyperlight Drifter a lot. I had my issues with it. For me, it's fairly borderline if it makes the list.
I think also, did we put Death's Door on here as a potential? I think we did, didn't we? So
we did.
There's a conversation to be had there, I think, also.
Okay. So do we want Hyperlight Drifter to be in the mix?
Sure, let's put it in there for now, and then we can murder one or the other or both, depending on how we feel and how brutal things are getting. We'll see. Yeah.
Bayonetta 2, I did not have a good time with Bayonetta 2. And
I already eliminated Bayonetta 3 from the list.
You already eliminated it.
It would be nice to have Bayonetta represented here, but I think there are certain games, and we can get to this when we get to it, where in the spirit of if one of us really hates it or isn't that into it at all, and one of us is yeah, we do like it, it probably doesn't make sense just because of how limited space is.
We want as many of the top 50 to be games that we've both played and care about. Ideally, there'll be exceptions, obviously, but for the most part, ideally, we both like the game a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. It's a great game. I love
it. Really good. Yeah.
It's arguably in the mix, but I can totally see it not making it, and it hasn't made it previously. And do I like the second game more? I don't even know yet, and you've not beaten that game, so it's all just a bit of a mess, and I don't see either of the games making it, to be honest.
Yeah, I think we can leave the Mario plus Rabbids games off generally. I think that there's more passion for other tactical strategy stuff.
No, definitely, definitely.
So that's cool that we can leave that off.
Greece.
Yeah.
Greece is probably the game in this mini list that I care about the most, actually. I think this is definitely in the top 50 and is arguably a decent way up in the top 50 for me. Oh,
wow. Yeah. I like Greece a lot. I definitely can see an argument for it being in the top 50, so I'm happy for you to move it there.
Is it going in the mix or at number 40 for now? Shall we go in the mix?
Yeah, let's put it in the mix, I think.
Okay. It's at let's stick it at number 50 or whatever.
All right.
Florence. Yeah, I enjoyed Florence. I don't have strong feelings about Florence. It was cool. It's definitely nowhere near top 50 for me personally.
Yeah, it's a nice little emotional game.
Yeah.
I also like it, but I don't think it makes the list.
Yeah. Okay,
right.
So now we're up to 74 games. Shall I run through number 40 down to 74 so that we
see, here's the thing that I'm not sure what makes sense here, right? Because there is just we've basically just put a lot of things in the bottom here, right? And they all are just unnumbered and unlisted. There's a few things we've put higher up. Do we want to examine the whole list as a whole as opposed to cutting it down? Because there are definitely arguments to be made for things that are higher up than 50 within the list that maybe we reassess and come back to. How do you want to do it?
I think we try to assess 40 downwards.
Okay.
But that's not to say that the things above 40 are safe in the top
forever,
40.
Basically.
There's stuff in the top 40 that might not even make the top 50. Stuff can be pulled right down if we feel that way. But I think for now we try and get down to 50 games and go anything from 40 to 74 are the main games we're looking at to try and push stuff down and bring some stuff up. How about that?
Yeah, all right.
Okay, so I'll just quickly run through 40 down to 74. So at 40, Valkyria Chronicles 41, Metroid Prime Federation Force 42, Zelda Wind Waker 43, Gorogoa 44, Portal 45, Golf Story 46, Pikmin 3 47, Phoenix Rice.
Yeah, that's him.
Phoenix
Rice,
Rice,
my favorite lawyer. He just eats balls all day.
Ace Attorney 48, Splatoon 3 49, Mega Man 2 50, Grease 51, Spiritfarer 52, AI The Somnium Files 53, Death's Door 54, Animal Crossing New Horizons 55, Warriorlands Shake Dimension 56, VVV 57, Pokemon Gold Silver 58, Pokemon Legends Arceus 59, Live Alive 60, 999 61, Super Mario Maker 62, Contra 3 63, Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania, sorry.
Yeah, but not Banana Blitz.
Banana
That
Blitz.
game is not good enough to make.
No, definitely not. 64, Box Boy. 65, Tinykin. 66, Advance Wars. 67, The Artful Escape. 68, Mech Extermination Force. 69, Dodgeball Academia. 70, If Found. 71, Kaze and the Wild Masks. 72, Ollie Ollie World. 73, The Great Ace Attorney. And 74, Hyper Light Drifter.
Okay.
I'm just going to do a little gap to just try and... so that we can kind of see it a bit better.
That's cool. That makes sense. All right. So should we just start saying things that we want to get rid of?
Yeah, I think what's interesting about this list is there's a lot more games on this part where one of us feels a lot more strongly than the other.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'd argue, at least initially, we try and just push some stuff to the top that we both really care about.
Okay, cool. Should we put Metro Prime Federation Force at the top?
I mean, I think this process is getting it to the top, seeing what gets pushed down. So my point is the order doesn't matter unless it's below 50.
Yeah,
so
that's fine, yeah.
I feel strongly Metroid Prime Federation Force should be in the top.
It should be on this list, yeah.
Top. Shall we move it to 40 for now?
Yeah, sure. Just move it up. It's fine. I think, let's not get hung up on numbers right now. Let's just move things up and,
okay.
It will all be rearranged once we get to the final version.
I really think Wind Waker needs to be in here.
Yeah, I mean, Wind Waker has had a sordid affair on this podcast, a history, and it deserves to be up there. I think I like Wind Waker more in hindsight, just generally everything about it. And we'll talk about it more later.
I think we both care a lot about Pikmin 3 being in this top 50.
I definitely do, yeah. Pikmin is one of those series that traditionally was a Bally series, and then I finally played it,
it's
and now
the aisle.
I love it. Yeah, I love it as well. So it's one that has really broken through, and I think we can't have a list that doesn't have Pikmin 3 on it. And very much looking forward to Pikmin 4 coming out, and hopefully that does a great job and potentially gets on this list next time. We'll see.
I think arguably after those games, there's maybe not a ton of games that we both care about quite to the same echelon.
Yeah, I would say we should have a Splatoon game on this list. I think Splatoon 3 is such a really good representation, so I really do think Splatoon 3 should make it. I think there's a strong argument for it, and I think that it has every multiplayer aspect improved across the board. I still think some of the Splatoon 1 maps not being there is still annoying, all that good stuff, but all the multiplayer stuff is there. There's no more stupid salmon run being segregated for different hours and times, and the single player is just the best one they've ever done. So yeah, I think it has a strong argument here for sure. I think another one with strong argument is probably Spiritfarer.
I would absolutely love Spiritfarer to be in this top 50. I feel really strong. I just was worried. I feel more strongly about that game than you, but
I like it a lot. I think there's parts of it in the back half that just get a little overlong with some of the kind of Metroidvania elements of I remember trying to get the part in order to break through the ice and stuff like that, and having a bit of trouble finding the ingredients. But I think it has immaculate animation, and really is a tremendously well-made game. So I'm happy to have it on there.
I personally put Grease in that bracket. I don't know how much you like Grease.
Yeah, I like Grease. I think as far as artsy games go, it's pretty high up there. I feel like it might actually be a better choice than maybe some other stuff. I don't know how you feel about the Gardens Between anymore. For me, looking at it, how high that game is up on the list, it feels quite high to me, just because it's been quite a while since we played that game.
We have a severe lack of puzzle games, and I'm not saying the list is meant to represent all genres, but I do think that we do want some representation. I agree, it's probably way too high. What is it?
It's quite high,
26
26 or something,
Yeah, it shouldn't really be above Cuphead. That is
that is a little bit. What were we thinking?
Can we drag that game down into this mix?
Yeah, let's bring the Gardens Between down, I think, for the moment.
As it stands, I still want it on the list.
Okay, cool. I do like the Gardens Between. I think it's really, really clever. I think the reason we have it on there is it sits in our personal sensibilities of puzzle games. Like, I am someone who thinks Gorogoa is way better than something like the Gardens Between, but you don't really like Gorogoa at all. So I think that's one of those games that Gorogoa actually is one of those games that I'm actually okay to cut, despite having argued for it, incessantly for years and years.
I mean, this game gets tougher every single time we do it, and that's no shade on Gorogoa. It's just, is it Gorogoa's fault that Metroid Dread and Eastward have come out?
No, of course not.
You know what I mean?
But also, you just don't really like Gorogoa as a puzzle game.
Like
you didn't get on with it, and that's totally fair. So I'm happy to let that one go. If we want to start reading stuff, then we can read Gorogoa.
Okay, let's do that.
We can move it down. And that one was on the list previously, so it's making room for some new stuff at the very least. But I just want to say, hey, if you like really clever puzzle games, you've got to play Gorogoa. It's one of the most masterful ones out there from my perspective, so I really do like it a lot. It's an exceptional game. I think... How do you feel about Golf Story, Bally? Because, I don't know what has happened to you, but, Sports Story has really killed any of my enthusiasm for Golf Story at all.
I don't even think about that game.
It's a spectre that has, I don't know. It also did remind me that there is a bit of jank of Golf Story, and, Golf Story is cool, bit of jank. And it was neat. I don't know. I also found, I'm not really a big fan of these sports RPGs or sports games. I tried Mario Golf when that came out, and obviously it's a bad version on Switch and everything, blah, 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 blah. But I was just like, man... I don't know about this stuff. I'm not sure it's for me. I know you still love Golf Story, but have you soured on it or softened on it since?
I mean, I like Golf Story a lot. I can totally see it not making this list, as I care about it far more than you. But and to some degree, Sports Story has made me a bit like, oof. Were the best aspects of Golf Story as good? And I'd like to leave it black in the middle for now, but I think there's still a good handful of games we can push up, and the whole cutting process becomes much easier after that, because we think we create a top 50 that nothing can penetrate, and then cutting everything else becomes a cakewalk.
You just cut the whole thing at once. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
There's a couple in here that have been on this list a very long time. Well, 3 games maybe that have been on this list a very long time.
Yeah.
Maybe we want to save all 3, but we can discuss this. But I'd say Wario Land Shake Dimension.
Oh boy.
VVVVVV. And Pokemon Gold Silver.
Yeah. Pokemon Gold Silver, I think, has to be on the list. I
feel that as well.
It's so good.
We're not talking about just nostalgia. This is a great JRPG. It is great. It is awesome. And
it's the best sequel ever made. I continue to say that. It is so damn good in every single way. And it's also one of those games that I think Red and Blue are a little bit hard to go back to from a visual standpoint. The sprites are weird and funky, and there's lots of...
I went back to Red in, 2016?
Yeah.
And I had a really good time. And that's part of the reason that I'm egged on to know, because I know that Gold and Silver are better than Red and Blue.
Oh, they're way better,
and I had such a great time with Red that now I'm like, well, Gold and Silver has to be on this list.
And
I also played Pokemon Sun since then, and was less than impressed by Pokemon Sun. I was a bit like... Oof, is this what modern Pokemon is like now? And obviously Pokemon has come on leaps and bounds since Pokemon Sun, but I was still in that era a bit like, oof, this wasn't all that.
Yeah. I think it needs to stay on the list.
How do you feel about those other 2?
I love them both a lot. I think they are both fantastic platformers. VVVVV, I still think is in a lot of ways even better than Super Meat Boy. I think it's just such a fantastic little game, and Wario Land Shake Dimension is still excellent. I think the hard part is not having played these in so long, it's hard to stack them up against other things. I do like them a lot. Are they kind of should we get rid of them to make room for new stuff? I don't know how that makes me feel. I still think they're very important games. I feel like having a Wario platformer on this list is important, as a representation of this podcast, but I think that's probably why I would make the argument for Wario to stay. VVVVV, I think personally I like it a huge amount. I don't know how you stand with it, but like I think that soundtrack is like one of my top 10 soundtracks of all time.
That soundtrack is undeniably just impeccable.
Yeah, it's stellar.
And I had a great time with the platforming part of that game.
It's really good.
I really, really liked it.
They're very difficult ones to get rid of or to.
There's a lot of joint energy for both those games.
Yeah, there is.
And there might be more joint. I don't know. But Super Mario Maker.
Super Mario Maker.
Damn far.
It's but the thing is, I think Nintendo putting out Mario Maker 2 and having it be such a fucking not disaster, but like flop, has made me retroactively.
They kind of sports storied it, didn't they?
Yeah, a little bit. They kind of sports storied it, but like Mario Maker is one of the best things Nintendo's ever made. Like it is exceptionally.
Why did they
good.
not launch the Wii U with Mario Maker?
I know. Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, it would have been. I don't know if it would have been a different story because I don't know, the Wii U just had cursed energy about it. But I do think that it could have made way for some interesting stuff. Yeah, I mean that original game is still so amazing. I think the thing we need to discuss maybe is like how much do we detach outside forces from our enjoyment of the game, because I think so much of Mario Maker's enjoyment was the internet plus Mario Maker at the same time.
Yeah,
as opposed to just the game on its own.
Undeniably.
And I think if you remove the whole internet surrounding Mario Maker, does it stay on this list as a standalone game on its own? Maybe, but less so, I think, right? Like, so much of my joy of Mario Maker was watching other people play my levels or watching Dan and Patrick do their crazy contests, right?
I think if you rather try and imagine in your mind a world where we don't enjoy Dan versus Patrick and we're only enjoying Bally versus MBZ, and it was still a damn
still
good
so
time.
fucking good. Oh my god, it's
good.
still
where
so
you went
good.
away for days creating that damn difficult level in a new Super Mario Bros. Style, and then you like filmed me playing it.
That's one of my favorite videos on my channel. It's
my
so
favorite
good.
videos on your channel.
It is like
sure.
you are so pissed off at the end though. You're exhausted. You're just like, oh my god, this level is the worst thing ever.
I think it became a half-hour video, but maybe the game session was
it took you about 2 hours. It took you 2 hours, and
right.
I cut it down to like 40 minutes or something. Yeah.
You know, I've got okay 2D platforming skills. I don't think they're incredible, but I'm certainly above average. And yeah, it was hard. Yeah, I would like to see Mario Maker in this top 50. It doesn't have to be particularly high, but I think it needs to be in there for me.
Would you take Mario Maker over Wario Land and VVV?
Yes.
I think I would as well.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think it's like... I think it's just such an important game Nintendo made that I think is just so fucking good. Just so good.
Now, when you're trying to like remember having a good time with a game, there's one game on here that stands out to me.
Yeah.
And that's Contra 3.
Yeah, it's a good time. It's a damn good time.
I would like to see that in the top 50.
I think like we need a representation of co-op games here, and Contra 3 is definitely... It
Takes Two got shafted in the last round, and
we didn't put Escape Academy on here either.
Didn't put Escape Academy, but Contra 3, that was a fun time.
It was a great time, yeah. Yeah, I think my only worry...
I don't think Caroline had seen anything like it when you came to Brussels and we played it on the Super Nintendo Classic, right?
Yes, yeah.
And plugged it into the TV. Just the way we behaved and shouted and screamed, and she was like, I don't understand what was happening. Like, why were you reacting like that? It's like, there was something about that game that just brought out another side of us where we were just screaming and shouting.
Pure chaos.
It was pure chaos and pure fun, and I'd like to see that game up here.
All right, let's do it. Let's put it up. I think my only worry here is putting these games up is like, that these were on the list before, and like, do we want to like make room for new stuff? You know,
that's fair. I feel like the fresher games on this list, so the Death's Door, Tinykin, Ollie Ollie World. I think Kazuya and the Wild Mass. I think all of them, one of us is more keen than the other.
Yeah,
if there was to be one of them, which one should it maybe be?
Oh gosh, like. Is Ollie Ollie World? Because Ollie Ollie World is the one where we both kind of like went back and forth.
I had a really good time with Ollie Ollie World.
Like, I love that series. I think it's extra good. Is it as good? I think I have more passion for like Wario Land probably than Ollie Ollie World though. So if we're talking about a platformer and want to represent the podcast, that's the hard thing. Is like it gets very difficult here. I'm not sure.
And you don't want Death's Door up here.
I think Death's Door is fine. I think we're honestly in a place where we can lose Death's Door and Hyperlight Drifter, and I'm not going to be mad about it.
Because we've got Unsighted up there.
Exactly, yes. Unsighted is actually my preference.
Unsighted is the representative, yeah.
When it comes to that type of game, generally. So I think we're fine to lose both of those. I think Animal Crossing New Horizons is a fantastic game. Like, it's the best one in the series, and I put so much time into it, and it was amazing over COVID. I know that you cooled on it a good deal. So
I had a good 50 hours, and then it just kind of...
You just don't get back to it, right?
Yeah,
And I just think... The question is, do we want to force things on here to have the franchise representation of, like, well, we need to have an Animal Crossing game on this list, or we need to have a Wario game on this list, right?
I mean, I think for certain series, I think that's fair, but if you did that for every series, that makes the whole list. So I think, for example, for Pokemon, I think it's crucial that Gold and Silver's there. I think that's just, it represents us. Mm-hmm. You know, that game's got history. We're not just talking about nostalgia.
Yeah.
We can stand by and say we could play that game on the desert island tomorrow and have a damn good time. And maybe you can't make that argument in the same way for all these games, but
yeah, that's true.
So how many more slots are we talking about?
I mean,
3,
probably
48,
3.
49, 50.
But
do you
I
want
think
Valkyria Chronicles in there?
Yeah, I mean, it's another argument of, like, I like it a lot, but you've never played it, so it's hard to kind of maintain it there. There are certain games like that I would like to have on here, just as a, like, you know, I need to have a visual novel anime thing represented, just because I think that's important.
It's something you've played a lot more of since 200. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
You tell me, what's the best of the rest when it comes to anime narrative novel?
I would probably go for AI the Somnium Files as my pick. The thing is, you've also played Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, but I kind of clarify that as, like, slightly as a sidestep from the anime bullshit, because Phoenix Wright is a little bit more grounded, as weird and wacko as it is.
That makes that made me pause.
Yeah. Like, I didn't put the Danganronpa games on this list. That all of them are available on Switch now. I think my hesitation there is I've heard bad things about the Switch versions of Danganronpa.
Okay, interesting.
I would play on Switch if they had been available day one on a platform. I would have gone to Switch. Obviously, they were on Vita, so I played them all handheld. Anyway, so they're definitely, like, I think, like, Danganronpa V3 would be the one that I would go to. It's still probably my favorite visual novel I ever played. Danganronpa V3, I think, would be number one. But I think AI the Somnium Files is a good choice here if we're going to put one on the list.
Let's get it up there.
I'd like to move that up. Yeah. And, you know, 999, I think the other thing with 999 is I didn't play the DS original, so I technically have not played the only version that exists on the Nintendo platform, because unfortunately the remake doesn't exist on Switch for some godforsaken reason, despite it having such a history with Nintendo. So, yeah, it's a bit of a shame. Yeah. There's lots of stuff here at the bottom, like, that we both like Dodgeball Academia and If Found, but is the passion strong enough behind either of those to get them onto the list?
I don't think so. I don't think either of them, this isn't necessarily a fair justification, but I don't think either of them knocked our socks off when it came to, like, Game of the Year discussions or Game of the Year that didn't come out this year discussions, because I think we played If Found later. I think both of them were high-ish, but they weren't, like, top tier, which arguably everything on the top 50 should be top tier, but...
Yeah. Before we continue this process, something I just want to do is maybe take a quick look at the 38 rest of these games.
Okay, let's look at it.
And see, are there any things that we can chip away on this list which don't make sense anymore? A couple of things I might want to pick up. One is we have both Ori games on this list. Now, I appreciate I love both Ori games, and I think I fought for Blind Forest, but I feel like Will of the Wisps is the one that wins out here. And if we are trying to have a bit more diversity here, be a bit more representative, I think it feels like it's taking up a spot where it doesn't need to be, Blind Forest. And
I mean, Blind Forest, in my view, is kind of doing what Mario Galaxy 1 did on this list.
Yeah.
Where it starts high, the sequel was better, and then the previous game gradually just falls off.
Yeah, that's true, for sure.
We can speed up that process. I'm not against that necessarily.
Yeah.
There was one game I was going to pull out of this list and cut it from the entire thing based on a rule I described earlier, which I think is Overwatch.
Yeah, especially because Overwatch doesn't exist anymore. They literally turned it into Overwatch 2.
Yes, and Overwatch 2 is now, in my view, like my Series X go-to, and I love that game, but it just doesn't feel like it fits this list
I've played a bit of Overwatch 2 on Switch now. Runs worse than Overwatch 1, looks worse. Like, because they, obviously updated it and stuff, like Switch can't keep up as much with it, and yeah, it's not as good an experience. Like, it's still fine on Switch, but I feel like Overwatch is one that we can kill quite easily.
Okay, I'm killing Overwatch, and let's get back to that Ori discussion.
Yeah, I think we can take Ori off, if I'm honest. If I want to make space for something here, and I think, like, Ori and the Blind Forest is one of my top games of all time.
I believe, I want to try and quote you when you said, you basically said something like, Will of the Wisps is fantastic, and I prefer it to Ori Blind Forest, but there's no moment in either of the Ori games that reaches the heights of the Ginza tree. And
very true.
I think, do we keep a whole game on the list just for one moment? Arguably not. But yeah. I'm just trying to remember that quote that you had said.
That's true. It's very true. It's an exception. It's one of my favorite moments in all the video games, like the music, the art, all of it.
And I'd probably agree. It's spectacular.
There are some things I also still like. Like, I'm a weirdo who likes the manual saving system of Blind Forest. Like, I'm a sicko. Like, I like the fact that you can fuck up and lose so much progress. But it's also because I am, as we know, growing up, a serial saver. So I'm always on top of it.
But it's rewarding people who are serial savers.
Yeah, it's true.
I think it's like that weird messed up thing of like, oh, you're a serial saver? Well, we've got the mechanic for you.
I know,
and
right?
It just kind of feels good to save at the right moment with that game.
Yeah. But I do think we can lose it. I think that there is enough passion behind Will of the Wisps and how high up it is to represent that as a series. And I think there's enough interesting stuff down here that I would like to see higher.
I think I agree with you. I think that this list has gotten to the point where if you're a game series and you have more than one game on this list, you're kind of, you have to be like Mario Zelda. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
You kind of have to be. I'm not saying Ori and the Blind Forest isn't Mario Zelda, but
yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Another one I want to bring up, mainly because the game itself is dead, and it was extremely high on our list last time. I think because of proximity in which we played it a lot. Killer Queen Black. You cannot play that game anymore. I still think it's one of the best multiplayer games ever made, but you can't play it anymore. Which, as a capsule of time of the top 50 right now, I don't think we can keep it on the list.
I kind of agree with what you're saying, because we've always kind of gone with the idea, if we're on a desert island tomorrow, we want to play some games, and you're right, we couldn't play that game.
Unless we had an arcade machine where the original game comes from, right? Because it's in arcades and you can play that. But
it's sad to cut it, but I totally see the argument.
Yeah.
Shall we cut it?
We never really played it in a full 4 versus 4 setting. I mean, we had multiple sessions with a full team online and stuff like that. But yeah, it's one of those games that you need enough people and the time and the space to do it.
Okay, well, I guess we should cut Killer Queen Black.
Yeah.
Because technically it almost becomes, that game becomes a nostalgia game, because it's not anything we have reference to currently, which I guess
totally.
kind of... Okay, it's gone.
All right.
Goodness, that creates some space.
It definitely does. And the last one that I want to chip out a little bit is one that you'll be mad at me for.
Oh God, here we go.
It's A Short Hike.
My God.
I think A Short Hike is a very neat little game. I think you have very high love for it, and that. So obviously that can speak a lot. But I don't know that it can maybe still be on the list, but I don't think it can be this high. Personally, it's very, very high.
Oof, but I mean, it has to be on.
A Short Hike is just like, it's just a little. It's like, it's Breath of the Wild, but it's just a little bit tiny. That's it. It's cool. I like it.
Yeah, and that's neat. Why it's so great.
Yeah, but we've got Breath of the Wild on this list.
It's one of the best indies on this list, in my view.
Wow.
It's obviously loads of indies above it.
It's a cool little game, and I think the vibes it has is like the Animal Crossing kind of item stuff, right? Where you get like the shovel and things like that. I think that's pretty neat. Like the DS, I think the DS aesthetic is extremely strong, but it is like, I don't know, I wouldn't say it's memorable from a character or narrative standpoint. I think it's mechanically fun and neat. And I think fun and neat is how I would kind of approach a short hike. I think it's really cool and a very good game, but I just, for a top 50, for me, it doesn't quite hold it.
I'm happy for it to come down.
Okay.
But yeah, I agree. 25 is very high at this
yeah.
point in time, especially looking at some of the games below it. But
yeah.
it definitely has to be in the top 50 for me.
Yeah. No, that's cool. I get that.
Do you want me to bring it down for now?
Yeah, let's just leave it for now, and then we can shuffle it. We just remember that. I'll just make it orange just to remember that it's there. Hovering. It's in the orange zone.
Okay then.
So let's do that.
Okay. So
of the rest of the games on this list high up, I think a lot of them are still very strong and they're hard to budge down. I wonder if Slay the Spire doesn't end up that high anymore.
Yeah, I think you're maybe jumping the gun because we'll definitely get to this discussion. And I think that any of these games in the top that will move, other than the ones we've already discussed, I don't think any of them are coming out the top 50.
Okay, I get. So do you think Slay the Spire will still be in the top 50
yes,
at the end of this?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think that Katana Zero will still be in the top 50 after all this? That's the only other one I'm looking at, and I'm
where
like,
is it at the moment?
It's at 35, so it's just before the cut.
Oh right, just before
and I think that game's excellent. It's really mechanically sound and fun.
I mean, I'd take Katana Zero over like Mark of the Ninja.
Ooh, no, I would not. I would not.
Interesting.
No. Mark of the Ninja is like, it is the best stealth game ever made. Like, it is exceptional. I can't assail Mark of the Ninja. That one is high for good reason. Okay, so we have a few spots left. Should we take a look back at this list down below and see what other things that can move up that we maybe want to move up?
I mean, we've now got 5 slots.
All right, that's good.
If we want, unless we're pulling something else out, which I'm personally not keen to pull anything else out.
Yeah, I think I was just looking at the rest of the list, and I mean, you know, there is a good Metroid Prime game on this list now, so we can maybe get rid of the bad one. You know, if you're, you know, I think that probably is a bit fair. That would probably make a bit more sense, you know. Now that I like a Metroid Prime
here's
game,
an unpopular opinion.
Okay.
Ori and the Blind Forest just got whapped right off the list.
Yeah, that's true, yeah. And
we've got 2 Xenoblade Chronicles games.
Yes, yeah.
It's currently sitting at 14 and 15.
Yeah, exactly where they should stay, pretty much, yeah.
I do think one of them has to be much lower on the list or off the list.
Yeah.
Based on our current logic.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true. And I knew it would come to this, and it's very hard.
I thought this was going to be in the second half of the conversation, but
no.
I mean, seeing as already just got like.
Well, the thing is, like, Ori and the Blind Forest is one of my favorite games of all time, right? And I think the reason that I don't say the same for Xenoblade 1 and 3 is that they feel very different as games. Like, they are narratively very different. The worlds are extremely different. Like, there's a real difference there, and I think that there's, I don't know, for me it just stands out a bit more. But I can see one moving down for sure. I can definitely see that happening. It's probably not great to overrepresent it on the list. But it feels, I don't know, it feels bad taking off the original Xenoblade Chronicles. Like, it has such a history and importance. And 3 is just.
Why don't you make it orange like a shorter hike, like its card is marked?
Sure. All right. Okay. Well, I don't like doing
this. They're both staying in the top 50, but they're gonna slide
do
a little bit.
some bargaining, I think, to figure that out. Yeah.
We need to look at this bottom chunk.
Sure. So now we have a few slots available, 5 slots potentially.
Yes.
I think, like, I would love to have Ace Attorney on here. I understand that that's another visual novel being put on the list, but I do love visual novels. I am a visual novel boy, and you do like that one, so that's the only reason.
I like it a lot. I'd like to see. I'm happy for that game to be in one of those 5 for now. Yes.
All right. Awesome.
Let's
I'm glad.
leave it
I'm
there.
glad we don't lose Phoenix and his buddies.
You're not getting the Great Ace Attorney though, on, for
No,
example.
no, I don't
Right.
think so. Like,
Okay.
I think maybe in the future, if you ever check out the Great Ace Attorney and we
Yeah.
get to the point where like you're
Right.
like, oh, actually, I prefer this one, then
Yeah.
that makes sense to swap
It is
out,
my
right?
intention to play more Ace Attorney games. It is just
Yeah.
they are a little bit long, but
Yeah, they are.
I will get there eventually.
For sure.
I also think, based on what you said before, Ollie Ollie World should probably be in this top 50.
Oh, that would make me happy. Me very happy to put that on
Yeah,
there.
remember this good deed, all right?
It's
When next
look,
time
it's a really good game. You like it, all right? This is not
do
a
like it.
hard
I do
decision
like
to be
it.
making. Yeah. My heart is palpitating a little bit because I see a little game here that has been here forever and is the oldest game on this list, and getting rid of it
Oh, right.
truly
Okay.
makes us look like charlatans and young Nintendo fans who think that Legend of Zelda is like the Beatles, of course, as we have said many times. But yeah, Mega Man 2 is not on the list, and I think I'm okay with it. I think I'm okay.
It's
to
had
let
a damn
it go.
good run.
It's had a great run, and look,
And-
it is the best old game ever made. Like, it's still a game I go back to constantly and replay. And the thing is, Mega Man is still bullshit. A lot of NES games are. Like, Mega Man, not going to deny it, absolute bullshit. That entire boss where you have the room with the fucking lasers that shoot at you and you have to use
Yeah,
the
that
pause
one's
buffering
not
glitch.
good.
And
Not
you have to
good.
do it in a specific order. Terribly designed. Awful. Do I love getting it right the first time every time I do it? Yes, because I feel like a god. But it doesn't get over the fact that it's terribly designed. Yeah, I think Mega Man 2, I just have such a deep familiarity with it. It's one of those games that, like, I guess similar to Metro Fusion, right? Where I've played it so many times and I know it back to front that none of its flaws show out to me anymore. But it does have them. And I think that, you know, it's one of the greatest games ever made, but it's fine. It's fine. It's not on here anymore. It's fine. I'm okay with it.
Capcom are flying high right now,
Yeah.
but Mega Man's got nothing to do with it, so...
No, it doesn't. And neither does Ace Attorney, unfortunately, which is a real
Interesting
shame.
point. Yeah, true. Just strange. What happened to Mega Man? When's he coming
Yeah,
back? Is he
I don't
coming
know.
back?
We'll see. AAA Mega Man coming soon.
Play Mega-
Okay, so I think Wario should be on this list. I really do. Like, I just look at Wario Land, shake it, and I'm like, man. So you've heard of Pizza Tower, right, Bally? I think I
Yes.
mentioned Pizza Tower too.
Still sitting on 2 reviews on OpenCritic, but they are 2 very good reviews.
Yeah, which is baffling to me because
Yes.
this game has currently about 26,000 reviews on Steam, which means it's sold well over 1 million copies.
It shows you how dominated by the console space our sort of podcast bubble
Yes,
is. Like,
yeah.
like PC games are a big chunk of the audience, but not within the vocal space as well.
Not talked about, no. That game has sold unreal levels, and I really want to play it still. Like, people are going gaga about it. Like, I've heard people say, like, it's alongside Meat Boy and Celeste as, like, one of the best platformers ever made. I'm like,
That's
Jesus
incredible,
Christ.
yeah.
So, and, you know...
Here's the thing, though. It's going to get a console port, and then everyone's going to lose their minds, a bit like Hollow Knight. That's a good
Yes,
example, actually.
exactly, yeah.
And then everyone's going to be like, it's the game of the year. It's like, actually, it didn't come out this year, so you
No.
can't technically count it for
Right.
this year.
That will happen.
That will happen.
But that being said, that game's entire inspiration is the Wario Land series, and the fact we haven't seen one come back, like, Nintendo, what are you doing? Like, I think we need to have it just to summon it back, to keep it alive. It just needs life.
Let's
you know?
put Wario Land on the list.
I
and
just
then
love it.
I
I
think
just
for
love
episode
it.
300, we might replace it with Pizza Tower.
Potentially, yeah. We'll see what happens. But I think that means VVV probably doesn't make it in that case.
Potentially not.
Yeah, maybe not.
I'd like to request, and I've not even beaten this game yet, but I would like to request Advance Wars Reboot Camp on this list.
I mean, it's very fair to have Advance Wars on this list. I know that Wargroove is still on this list and is very, very high. I'm interested to see how you still feel about Wargroove as well after all this time.
Yeah, I still prefer Wargroove to Advance Wars. I think I'm just a sucker for the animation and the fantasy. It's quite like a cutesy, unique fantasy setting. I think they've just got a really nice style. And the music and the presentation is just top notch. But then mechanically as well, yes, there are some weak levels. Like, there's some kind of Fire Emblem style levels that I really didn't like because essentially the terrain is pointless. It's just a chess match at points. But but there's still some like unique units in there, a bit like giants, for example, that I really like. I guess they kind of function a little bit like mecha tanks, but stuff like your commanding officer being on the field and actually being like a king in chess, where they can deal good big damage, but you need to be careful because if they die, that's one way. That's another form of losing. I think stuff like that is really clever about that game.
Yeah.
And they announced Wargroove 2, didn't they? I don't know when that's coming. I imagine next year.
Yeah, it's happening soon, I think. We'll see.
I really do stand by Wargroove. I appreciate it's going to fall. I'm happy for it to fall lower, much lower than 19 where it currently sits. But I would love to see Wargroove and Advance Wars Reboot Camp on. I want Reboot Camp, even if I prefer the previous art style, for the simple reason that it incorporates both 1 and 2. Two games that I both think have great merits, where 1 had kind of like the better tutorial system, but then 2, it's a bit like how you describe Fire Emblem Fates Conquest. It's just some really well designed like tactics levels.
Yeah.
So I'd go for Reboot Camp for that reason.
I think this is fair, because if you have 2 games that are kind of the same, and I have 2 games that are kind of the same with Xenoblade, right? So I think that is that's an argument that I will get behind.
Okay,
do you want to do Reboot Camp versus just the original Advance Wars on GBA?
Yeah, for the reason I described, like it because it incorporates both games, and I really like both games.
It's a good way to cheat without having to cheat, you know?
Well, I mean, Nintendo did it for me, or Way Forward did.
It's fine. Next time, Bally, I'll just wait until they do a Xenoblade Trilogy collection. The unfortunate thing about that is I'll have to put it lower down the list because 2 will just drag it down. So, you're very lucky that I don't love 2 or X as much as 1 and 3.
I see.
You know, otherwise this would be just a list of just Xenoblade games, of course, as we all know. So, anyway.
2 slots.
2 slots left.
Ollie World. We didn't put.
We didn't move it up. Yeah. Do we? Okay. Before we do it, do we want to do that? Is there anything else here? Speaking, you know.
How big are your flaws with Live Alive?
Pretty big. Like
Okay.
I almost didn't want to finish the game. If I'm honest, like
Okay,
if
fair
I
enough.
didn't have that train journey,
yeah.
I had a train journey to Edinburgh from London, and it was 4 hours both ways, and I played a good chunk of it on the way there, and then I finished it on the way back. And if I hadn't been stuck in a train with nothing else to do, I would have really been annoyed with the game because of its ending and how elongated it is and how it just doesn't tie anything up. And like, I really do appreciate the Square Enix are going back and remaking these games, but I do wish that they would take a bit more of a knife to them and like modernize them a bit more. It's my big worry about Dragon Quest 3 is it's going to come out and it's still going to feel like an NES game because Square Enix is still kind of rooted to tradition with it. And you know, you said to me at the time, like, oh, well, you know, you love you don't mind grinding in these old games you play on your retro handhelds and stuff like that. And my argument for that is, yes, but I have speed up and save states with those games.
It's also not your expectation with those games.
Exactly,
like,
it's not the expectation.
A 2022 game.
Right, totally. And you know, I think Octopath Traveler being on this list is a good representation of that style of game, and I'm very happy for you to put it up higher because I know how much you love it. And from what I've played so far, it does feel like it is making good on what the first game didn't make good on. So, yeah, I don't think I can live with Live Alive on the list, if I'm honest.
Okay, just checking. No, it's fair because there's a lot of JRPGs on the list that we both love.
For sure, yeah.
What about Greece?
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. I guess it is the one with the common support here. I personally, if we're going to talk about an artsy game, I would go for The Artful Escape. I think that's a game that I prefer from that perspective. It's a little less mechanical, totally, but I think it has a stronger story and message, and so that's kind of why I get behind that one personally. But I do like Greece. I think Greece is very good. It's very pretty. I'm very interested in their new game as well, the one they showed off. Yeah, I can see Greece being on here. I'm not super passionate about it, but I know you like it a lot more, so I think that probably speaks for it.
Are there other games that have a bit more joint passion from us? Perhaps Box Boy or
fucking
Tinykin?
Box Boy. Like, Box Boy has stuck around for so long. I love that little fucker. What a stupid little man. And one day he will be in Smash Brothers as a real character. You know, one day he will get there. I think Box Boy's so fucking good. I still believe it. I still love it. And I'd feel bad losing Box Boy. So I would argue for Box Boy. Yeah, I would.
What would we pair it with?
Grease? Question mark. I think we're both on not opposite sides here, but like I have more passion for Box Boy, you have more passion for Grease, but we both like both games.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think that probably.
I think Ollie Ollie World might be in that discussion as well, but.
Yeah, true. Would you take Ollie
Ollie?
Ollie?
Extermination Force was the token number 50 last time.
It was, yeah. And shout out to Bertel, the sponsor of this podcast, the grandfather of this podcast.
His most recent game just didn't cut
No, it didn't. Yeah.
Is that why? Extermination Force
Onion
is
Assault was not great. Would you take Ollie Ollie over Box Boy?
That's tough. I'd think I have more fond memories of like Box Boy.
Yeah.
I'd go Box Boy.
All right. So is it Grease and Box Boy that move up?
You definitely don't. They're not as hot on Tinykin as I am, are you?
No, Tinykin just. I got motion sick
you
from
sick
Tinykin
in the last
as well.
level.
Yeah.
Disqualified.
It made me sick like multiple times. I couldn't play it for that long. Like I think it's a really good platformer. And I think the reason probably why it stands out is we just don't get very many of them. So even one that's quite good is probably gonna capture you. I don't know, you're much more kind of into 3D platformers generally. So yeah, I like Tinykin a good amount. I mean more so than I think we both like 3D platformers, but I think you're a bit more 3D platformy.
Okay.
Person. Yeah. Like, I love Dodgeball Academia. I don't think it makes it. Cars I still need to play. I know you like it a lot. If Found, yeah. I think Grease and Box Boy are probably the ones for me that are standing out here. Okay. Pokemon Legends Arceus I would love to have on this list, but of course you haven't played it, and I just think it's a great step forward for the series.
Let's go Grease and Box Boy for now, and we'll step back and have a look and just think, are we happy?
So that is 50 at the moment. There's 50 video games in a list, unordered, slightly ordered, but requiring some more ordering. Yes. So what do we want to do from here, Bally?
Are we happy with these 50 before the chop happens? I'm about to turn everything below 50 red. Now they can come back.
Yes, they can come back.
Dead.
Yeah,
but it's tougher from this point on to come back.
We're going to lose Valkyria Chronicles and Golf Story, two games that are personal passions for both of us. They're not here anymore.
I think that's a good example of just how tough this list gets.
We don't have an Animal Crossing game on this list anymore.
We don't.
We
don't. But out of like the core Nintendo properties we are fans of, Animal Crossing's quite far down.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, it's probably like B- tier, I would say. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
are we doing it?
I guess we're doing it. Yeah, I guess we're doing it. We're locking it in.
Right, we're locking it in.
I think my biggest shame here is that the new stuff that we've played hasn't had as much punch through, and I don't know if that's because
what do you mean by punch through?
So like games like The Artful Escape or Dodgeball Academia or Kaze, Tinykin, they're just not quite.
I mean, all of them are games we played and loved and then featured low down on GOTY lists.
Yeah. I would, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, they're all very good. They're all excellent.
And all the games in this top 50 especially the ones that we played the year they came out, were all high on GOTY lists.
That's true. Yeah, I think it's also a time thing sometimes. Like, you need a bit more time for some games to really make that impact. So, yeah, I think that
this
probably
list
makes
is
sense.
Fluid. Like, this is a capture in time for now.
Mm-hmm.
Our views might change on these other games, and they come back.
We'll see. All right. So, what do we do now then?
Do you want me to run down the top 50 as it stands in no particular order, and then we get ordering?
Sure. Don't read the numbers though, because they don't matter at this point in time.
Okay, they don't matter for now. Okay.
Yeah.
The top 50 games of all time on Nintendo platforms are Box Boy, Grease, Advance Wars Reboot Camp, Warrior Land, Shake Dimension, Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney.
Phoenix Wright is gonna stay here.
Phoenix
Wright. This is happening.
AI, The Somnium Files, Contra 3, Super Mario Maker, Pokemon Gold Silver, The Gardens Between, Spiritfarer, Splatoon 3, Pikmin 3, Zelda Wind Waker, Metroid Prime Federation Force, Katana Zero, Unsighted, Chained Echoes, Final Fantasy VI, Zelda Link Between Worlds, Metroid Prime, Octopath Traveler 2, Hollow Knight, Dead Cells, Mark of the Ninja, A Short Hike, Chrono Trigger, Cuphead, Metroid Fusion, Fire Emblem 7, Citizen Sleeper, Wargroove, Metroid Dread, Eastward, Tunic, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, Xenoblade Chronicles, Mario Odyssey, Luigi's Mansion 3, Rhythm Heaven, Megamix, Slay the Spire, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, Smash Bros. Ultimate, Earthbound, Stardew Valley, Celeste, Hades, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, Night in the Woods, Zelda Breath of the Wild.
All right. Good stuff. Let's do some moving and shaking. My first proposal is to put Metroid Prime Federation Force at number 50 and make it our honorary number 50.
I think that's fair.
What do you think about that?
I agree.
Because I know we're joking about it of like, oh, it should be really high. But, you know, there are issues with that game. And I think there's some multiplayer problems with it. And it has some stuff going on which would make things a bit funky. But ultimately, it's a game that we are passionate about and that we love a lot. And I think it's a good representation at number 50 on this list. So, yeah, I think a lot of these other games are probably there's no objectivity here, but like they're probably better than Metroid Prime Federation Force. You know, there's some funky stuff in there with the level design and things. Some frustrating moments for sure that we had. But on balance, I think it's a beautiful number 50 for this list.
I don't know. I think maybe your Somnium Files should maybe slide down to 49.
I don't think so. I think I like that game more than Box Boy and Grease, and I think Advance Wars and that should be a bit closer if I'm honest, because I'm not,
right.
Advance Wars and AI the Somnium Files speak more strongly, passionately than Grease or Box Boy do to us individually, so I think it's more fair to do that.
Do you want to put the Somnium Files below Advance Wars?
I guess. I would say above, but I guess. I'll be nice because you have a history with Advance Wars, and I'm just a new little weeb over here, so, I'm going to have to get my cred up a bit more, so, but yeah, I think that looks nice. And number 47, Somnium Files.
Okay.
I think I'll have that. That's all right.
Do we like Warrior Land at 45? Or should it maybe be Contra or Phoenix Wright?
I think Contra comes down, because Contra, as much fun as I had with Contra, I think it still suffers from old game design bullshit. And, we wouldn't have got through that game without save states. It just wasn't possible. So I think in some senses, I can see Contra falling a bit more.
I could see Contra like 49.
I could actually as well, yeah. And I think that probably is a bit more deserving. Like, I think part of the passion for Contra is it's fun to play things co-op together, and I think Metroid Prime Federation Force is also in that kind of vein, so it almost makes sense that they're both together at the bottom.
Co-op fun games at the bottom.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so Warland's at 44.
Yeah.
Do we want it below Phoenix Wright?
I would keep Phoenix Wright higher. Yeah, I do think that.
Okay, I don't feel too strongly one way or the other.
I think it's like such a great series that I still have such fond memories for, and like that case, like the fourth case, which there's an extra one they added for the DS version, the fifth one, which is very long and not necessarily connected, but the fourth case, the way it kind of wraps everything up with Miles' story and everything like coming together is beautiful stuff, man. It's it created a franchise that people cared about, and I think it still sticks there very strongly. So I would leave it there for now. I think.
Okay.
I wouldn't change it too much.
Super Mario Maker at 42.
Yeah, I almost think it should be higher. I almost do. I think Gardens Between shouldn't be that high at number 40, actually, if I'm honest.
Okay.
I think Gardens Between is one of those games that I'm looking at now and I'm like, it's a cool puzzle game. Everything else on this list is speaking to me way more strongly. Like, I almost would put it down with Grease at like number 46.
No, I can
below
see that.
The Somnium Files, you know?
I'm up for that.
I think it's a case of we both played it quite close to this discussion last time.
Should we go between Grease and Box Boy?
I would probably put it above Grease personally, but if you like Grease more than Gardens Between, then I'm happy to put it between Grease and Box Boy.
I think I did enjoy Grease more.
Okay, let's put it between Grease and Box Boy then. Yeah, Gardens Between is an excellent game. Do we want it on this list? Question mark?
The Gardens Between.
Yeah, do you still want it on this list?
I would like it on this list. Yeah.
Okay.
This is like my short puzzle game that is like works for me the most out of any puzzle game I've ever played.
Wow. Okay. Cool. Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing else. There's very few other puzzles on this list. Box Boy is obviously there. We
all right, let's keep it
relegated
there.
Portal, but
yeah, I like Portal a good amount. I don't know. It never stands out to me as something to put on a list, but maybe that's just me. Okay, Gardens Between number 47, below Grease then.
Mario Maker 41, Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney 42, Pokemon Gold Silver at 40.
Yeah,
I think it's fine for now.
I think it's fine. Would I put it higher than anything up here? I think I would keep it here. Yeah.
Okay.
I would probably put it above Spiritfarer personally.
Oh god, I was just about to argue for Spiritfarer should be higher.
Oh, okay. Well, we can talk about that. I was going to say maybe bring Katana Zero down. I might have Katana Zero at 40.
I'm up for moving Katana Zero down, yeah.
Yeah, I might have that at 40 if I'm honest. Actually, why is that above Super Mario Maker? I would have that below Super Mario Maker.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Would I have it below? I would have it below. I would have Katana Zero below Wario Land. What do you think? Because I am. I'm moving it down.
I really like Katana Zero.
Okay.
That game's got style.
It does.
But also just impeccable mechanics. And a really quirky linear story that you don't really see in those kinds of games.
No. I think like part of its weakness is the narrative stuff where some of it gets a little convoluted and
you don't know when it's a dream or not.
And then also there's the whole like the ending doesn't really resolve itself properly. Like
there's another game coming, I think.
I guess maybe. Yeah. See. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Keep it. It's very good.
I would argue, like, I prefer Spiritfarer to like, I prefer it to like Hollow Knight and Dead Cells. And I obviously prefer it to Mark and the Ninja.
Yeah. I mean, I've always been someone on this podcast who are like, look, we love Hollow Knight. We're not Hollow Knight people, quote unquote, right? Because there are Hollow Knight people. Yes. I would say that we are Tunic people. I wouldn't say we're Hollow Knight people, you know?
Sorry, you would say we're Tunic people.
Yeah, I would say we are Tunic people. I would not say we are Hollow Knight people, you know? So I don't see an issue in moving Hollow Knight further down the list.
What about Hollow Knight at 38 for now? Below Spiritfarer.
I'm totally cool with that, and I know the internet hates us for it, but I'm totally cool with Hollow Knight coming down the list because it's currently at 28, so that's a big fall. It's a big drop.
It is.
But I think if we're talking about our personal tastes, I mean, Hollow Knight, exceptional game, one of the best Metroidvanias ever made, and deserving to be on a top 50 list of any kind. But I think if you're a Hollow Knight person, then you're arguing for Hollow Knight as a top 5 game, right? Really. So we're not quite there.
Exactly. Can we get Spiritfarer any higher for now, or would you rather just keep putting stuff below it?
Yeah, I think Spiritfarer. I like where Spiritfarer is. I'm finding it hard to move anything else down that isn't called Metroid Prime or potentially Link Between Worlds. Like, I almost might take Wind Waker above Link Between Worlds.
Link Between Worlds on this.
Yeah, I mean, I might take Wind Waker above Link Between Worlds. I'm not sure.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
They're currently still tied in my mind. They're kind of like tied.
I mean, where would you like to see Spiritfarer? Probably very high, like 30 something, right? Like or 20 something.
Well, it's currently 37. I would see it like 28, 27.
Okay. If we do that, then
I mean, it would be for now, and everything's going to shuffle, and it'll either go up 3 or down 3, won't it?
Yeah.
It won't stay there. But.
If we do that, then I would like Xenoblade to not go below 25? Question mark?
I can't guarantee that.
But. Okay. All right.
You're going to have to offer me much bigger than Spiritfarer up 5 slots to try and keep Xenoblade.
Yeah. No. I mean, okay, but what if Spiritfarer went above Xenoblade at like 24 and Xenoblade's 25? How's that sound?
I think there's way too much, many other things on the list to shake up before I can sign up to something.
All right. Okay. Well, I'm floating the offer.
I like the ballpark these offers are in. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. It's the right ballpark.
I think like Chained Echoes is the highest up game so far that only I have played, and I appreciate that. I will say, it's fucking fantastic, but I can see it moving.
Chronicles 3 is actually, but yeah.
I mean that we've got to our discussion
that we've got to so far.
I can move Chained Echoes down a little bit, just in service of that. I think if we put Chained Echoes just below Spiritfarer for now, I think that's okay. And hopefully you'll play it at some point. But yeah, I think Chained Echoes can go at like 37. What do you think? If we move that down, that gives Spiritfarer a lift up
for now. Yeah, let's do it for now.
Yeah.
Jeez, we're already at Final Fantasy 6.
Yeah. Final Fantasy 6. I mean, a game that deserves to be very high. That I still like a huge amount. And I thing is, like, Chained Echoes, its weakness is its narrative. Like, it does have really cool story moments, but I think it like Final Fantasy 6 just has such a stellar story. Like, and I think it's really well done, even though it's such an old game. And those moments hit extremely well. So I still think it deserves to be quite high.
How about I move a short hike down?
Okay, from where
From
to
25 currently.
Yeah.
To just below Spiritfarer and above Chained Echoes.
Oh boy, I mean, I will not say no to that. I will absolutely.
I think it's a fairer reflection of how we both feel about that game combined.
Yeah, that's true. We can do that. So it would go below Spiritfarer, making the slow ascent here, so chipping away at other games in order to move itself higher up the list. It's a great game. It's a hell of a season. Now, I mean,
Unsighted.
Here's the thing.
Sorry, what did you want to go?
I mean, I was just gonna again attack Metroid Prime, just with my MO. I actively hate Metroid Prime. I will play it this year. I have to.
I mean, the easiest way to get Metroid Prime further down this list is to beat Metroid Prime and say, Bally, that was a pile of shit, and I never want to see that game again.
Yeah.
That's your easy ticket to get that game down this list.
I know it is.
But we're not there yet. So
I know, but like, can we just move it down a little bit? Like, I don't want it above Link Between Worlds. Like, and I think you'd agree with that. Link Between Worlds is better than Metroid Prime, right?
I mean, not for me personally. I don't know.
Really?
They're both amazing for me.
Metroid Prime, you have to go and find all those fucking Chozo things in the dark. Link Between Worlds is the most fluid, like, seamless game of all time. It's like fucking butter on toast. Metroid Prime's like fucking, I don't know, like trying to put charcoal on toast, you know? It's not the same.
Metroid Prime is like trying to put charcoal on toast.
It really is, right. You know? I just, can we just put it just below Link Between Worlds?
Look,
that's all I ask.
I think Metroid Prime, we just leave it and it will bump up and down a bit and that will be fine.
Oh, God. I don't know.
That will be fine.
All right. Unsighted. I think Unsighted is fantastic. Do we want it above?
I prefer Unsighted to Dead Cells and Mark of the Ninja.
Wow. Because I was going to say, do we want it above an actual Zelda game in Wind Waker?
Why take one when you can have two?
Yeah. Unsighted is fantastic. I don't think it is... Maybe it is as good as Limbo. I don't know. I don't think it's as good as Link Between Worlds. I don't.
No, you're right. You are right. I was, because I prefer Link Between Worlds to Dead Cells and Mark and the Ninja is part of the problem.
Should we just move Link Between Worlds up? Is that what's happening here?
I mean, I think it should be just below Chrono Trigger.
Let's do it. Let's put Link Between Worlds back. It's moving back up the list,
Chrono
baby.
Trigger, but I'm not going to win that one.
It's moving back up the list.
Okay.
And Metro Prime's number 29. There we go.
Is this your
there we
strategy?
Go. So
now you're going to be like, wouldn't you agree that this game is better than number 28? Just...
Yeah, look, I think Link Between Worlds is like a fucking great game. I don't know. I might take Wind Waker above it, but I'm happy for it to be high on this list.
Unsighted at 31 now.
Yeah. I think I would take Unsighted over Final Fantasy VI. I'll take it above Metroid Prime.
I like Unsighted a lot, but I don't want it this high. All
right, should we put it below Wind Waker, because it's otherwise it's above a real Zelda game.
I think Mark of the Ninja and Dead Cells should maybe come down a little.
Okay,
bit.
Let's bring Dead Cells. I'm actually happy to bring Dead Cells down. I do like Dead Cells a lot.
Yeah, you feel very strong about Mark of the Ninja.
I feel much more strongly about Mark of the Ninja.
I think Hades
is
taking a big old poop all over Dead Cells.
In some senses,
in some senses.
Like, I mean, I think Dead Cells is still an excellent game. I do find it hard to go back to now, because I think there's just a big difficulty step up when you get to the first boss cells of Dead Cells. Like, you beat it once, and then you get the first boss cell. I still have not beat boss cell 1. Like, I want to go back and play that Castlevania DLC and stuff, but I haven't had time to.
Supposedly you have to play quite a lot of the original Dead Cells just to access that.
Which I already have, so I should be fine.
Okay.
But
what about Dead Cells below Wind Waker and above Pikmin 3?
What about Dead Cells below Spiritfarer? Because that probably works for you.
I could do that. Yeah. And I like that a lot.
So Dead Cells below Spiritfarer. Splatoon 3 and Pikmin 3 are both kind of sticking here with Wind. They've got this little cluster that they've got.
I think they're more or less good there.
I like them. Do I like them in that order? Yes, I do. Wind Waker, Pikmin 3, Splatoon 3. I think those are strong.
Yeah. I like them
together. Yeah, it's a good order. They're good together.
Tell you what, I think if Splatoon 3's single player hadn't been so good, that game would be falling down this list.
Splatoon might not be on this list, yeah.
Might not even be on this list, but I think that single player was so damn good and had such a good time that it definitely deserves 33.
I think Splatoon just has to be on here as, like, it is such an innovative franchise.
It's what we want Nintendo to do.
It is a representation of what Nintendo should be doing,
Do innovative things in genres they don't normally step their foot in, and to do something unique in that genre as well.
Yeah, exactly. So Unsighted at 30, is that too high? Is that...
I think it's good for now. I think we don't. So
you do want Unsighted above The Legend of Zelda: Wind Waker, a childhood Zelda classic favorite of yours?
Unsighted is just really good.
It's really good. Yeah, I can't argue it. Yeah,
it's just really good.
It's true. Cool. So getting into the top 30, then we've got Final Fantasy VI at number 29, Metroid Prime at number 28. Wait, how did that happen? What? I thought it was at number 29. What the fuck happened?
Stuff keeps going below it.
Oh, god damn it. All right, well. So...
You're going to end up very unhappy if you try to get everything above Metroid Prime, because it'll push all these other games you care about down.
Look, my only mission is Metroid Prime to be as low as possible on the list as it can.
Well, with all this effort, you might as well just play the game and tell me it's crap, and then you can move it down.
Yeah. I mean, I have played it,
You have played it? Oh, yeah.
Multiple times, yeah.
Multiple times? Did you have a good time?
For at least 1 hour, yeah. Remember that fucking boss that we fought when you came around? You're like, let's play Metroid Prime. And then it was fucking like, in this lake place, and the fucking bees were coming out, and I couldn't aim properly.
The bugs, yes.
And
That's
it was
like
just...
It's not a good boss. It's not a good opening boss. I'll give you that.
That's pretty bad. Pretty terrible. Yeah. Okay. That's fine. All right. Look. We'll leave Metro Prime where it is for now. All right, that's fine.
Stuff's still moving and grooving. It's not going to stay at 28.
Okay. Final Fantasy VI. What do you think? I think I like Final Fantasy VI more than you, so I probably have a stronger opinion.
I'm happy with it at 29.
Okay, great. Let's leave it there. I think Cuphead should be higher on this list. Why is it only at 23? Like, Cuphead should be...
Why don't we stick it at number 14 for now?
Yeah, I think so. I think Cuphead is like a top 10 contender, if I'm honest with you. Like, I think playing the DLC...
It is, and I think it's also been juiced by the DLC.
Yeah, playing the DLC reminded me Cuphead's one of the best games ever made. It just is. It's a fact.
I agree.
Okay, so Octopath Traveler 2, Bally. I'm happy for you to put this up higher. You know, where do you want it? You know, just tell me. It's groove.
I think, honestly, a lot of the feelings you have for Xenoblade Chronicles 3, I would echo with Octopath Traveler 2.
That's totally cool.
It's my favorite JRPG of all time. I'd be happy for it to... I don't know where Xenoblade Chronicles 3 will end up, but I'd love it just one slot above or below that game, probably. That'd probably be my ideal as to where Octopath Traveler 2 should be.
I'm happy with that. I think below is fair.
That's fair to put it below.
Yeah, just because I don't think Octopath Traveler 2 made you cry, so I'm pretty sure that that's good ammo for Xenoblade 3.
Let's go below Xenoblade Chronicles 3 for now. But those two might move up or down later.
Yeah, that's cool. But let's treat them as a nice pair, a good companion together. So we have Metroid Fusion and Fire Emblem 7 both here, both like personal favorites of mine. I think Fire Emblem 7 is a nice representation.
These are like previous top teners that have just kind of slid a bit. But
they have. I think Metroid Fusion, we've got Metroid Dread on this list now. I think that affords Metroid Fusion some wiggle room to move down.
Right, totally.
I don't think I would move it that far down, but I mean, if basically, it's not allowed to be below Metroid Prime. That's my only rule, essentially.
Sorry, Fusion's not allowed to be below Metroid Prime.
No, I will.
I don't think that's going to happen, so that's fine.
Yeah, I will leave this table again if Fusion is below Metroid Prime. So, yeah. But I think we can.
How do you feel about Citizen Sleeper? It's currently at 22.
I like it a lot. I think it should be high.
Higher than 22.
I think it should be above Wargroove. Just from a
it can go above Wargroove.
Dual passion perspective.
I'll give you that. Shall we move it just above Wargroove for now?
Let's just move it one spot.
One spot. Okay.
Not big swings here, but let's move it one spot. Do we think that like the group of Wargroove, Fire Emblem 7, Metroid Fusion as a kind of cluster, maybe with Metroid Prime, should all do a bit of a shuffle down, and then we have a bit of a shuffle up for some other things potentially, you know?
Not really, no. I think they're in a pretty good spot.
I feel like they should go down. Like, if you look at those three versus like Zelda, Wind Waker, Pikmin 3, and Splatoon 3, could almost do a swapsies, you know?
You're proposing to swap Zelda, Wind Waker, Pikmin 3, and Splatoon 3 with Wargroove, Fire Emblem 7, and Metroid Fusion.
And Metroid Prime, of course.
And Metroid Prime, which is another 3 places below it.
Yeah, I think just because those are all individual passion games, right? Wargroove and Metroid Prime for you, Fire Emblem 7 and Metroid Fusion for me. And they are very high. And I'm just looking at some of these games up here, right? Tunic, Eastward, Metroid, like there's a lot of joint passion in this top part of this list. And I think that's better representative. I feel like that's better representative, you know? What do you think? You know? Like Splatoon 3, Pikmin 3, Wind Waker. There's pretty joint passion there.
I mean, I'd way rather push, like, Pikmin 3. I mean, I don't have to push Wind Waker. I'd like Pikmin 3 higher, but, like, sure. I don't need it higher.
Okay. I mean, I'd put it higher. I can do it.
You'd put it higher than Metroid Prime.
You know? That's fine. What do you think? Bundle deal.
I kind of like everything where it is.
Oh man,
it feels very strange for you to not be. You've fought like tooth and nail for Fire Emblem 7 and Metroid Fusion in the past. Yeah. And I agree, Metroid Dread is going to feature very high, and we're going to have that discussion. Sure. But like,
the thing is, Bally, we do live in a world where Xenoblade Chronicles 3 exists, right? So like, things have changed. You know, Metroid Dread exists, Eastward exists. There's some things in the air here. So.
I think we maybe need to root out Xenoblade Chronicles 1 first.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting that.
To just below Metroid Prime.
Now this is the thing.
We'll drag Metroid Prime all the way down your list that you just wanted, and then we'll put Xenoblade Chronicles just above it.
Just above? I mean, I can do just above it. I can do just above it, you know? If Xenoblade sits just above Metroid Prime...
No, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I'm going for that. But I'm not sure.
What if we put Metroid Prime at number 48? And then Xenoblade can go one spot above that. How about that? That's all right?
No, I
all right.
Those games are better than what's down there.
Yeah, they are. That's true. I mean, one of them is, but yeah. So okay. So I'm just trying to shake things up here, right? Just get Wargroove, Fire Emblem 7, Metro Fusion. Are you happy with the net? Would you not take like Chrono Trigger above those, maybe?
I agree they're like personal passions, but like I think the amount of passion versus maybe the passion for Pikmin 3, Wind Waker, and Splatoon 3, I think they still surpass that, don't they?
Okay. I don't know. Pikmin 3, you very strong about Pikmin 3. I'm also very strong about Pikmin 3. I'm happy to move Pikmin 3 higher.
I mean, Pikmin 3 should be above, like... It's hard having Mark of the Ninja there, because I just do not rate it as high as the games around.
Okay, well, let's... okay, how about I will move Mark of the Ninja down if you let me move Metro Prime down with it. We can move those all down below Spiritfarer. We can put them at 35 and 36.
35 and 36. Wait.
And I'll put Mark of the Ninja below Metroid Prime.
I mean, I'm happy for Metroid Prime to go down a bit. I don't think it'll stay at 28, but that is quite low.
I don't think it's that low. I think, I really hate Metroid Prime. I think it's a terrible video game. I've played it plenty. I've played it at least 3 hours. And the problem with Metroid Prime is I don't want to play it because of the bad experience I've always had with it.
I need a little more articulation on what your bad experience was.
Oh, it just controls terribly. Like, you can't move out of the way or dodge anything easily. The lock-on mechanism doesn't work in the Wii version. It has a really hard navigation system. It has a whole thing at the end that I don't want to get into because it will annoy me. I
have a feeling you might have even had a better time if you just played the original GameCube version, because it is really designed around those lock-on controls, especially the first game.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, I might play it this year and be like, well, it's actually a good video game, as a lot of people have said. So
I think you will find that a lot of issues you have aren't quite as bad as you're making them out to be, but equally, I don't think you will agree that it's a top 10 games of all time.
Yeah, totally.
The way that a lot of people talk about it. I think you'll be somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, that's fine. I think I don't think it's terrible for it to be at 35 given where I currently am with it, And I think that you played it over 10 years ago, so it's been a long time in the memory.
I agree.
So I'm happy to move Mark of the Ninja and Metro Prime down and put Mark of the Ninja below Metro Prime as a show of good faith. Okay. And then that gets Spiritfarer up the list.
All right, let's do it for now.
All right, cool. Let's do it.
Then we move Metroid Prime to 35,
I think it would be. Yeah. And,
I'd put it below a short hike. I need a short hike higher.
Okay, where is a short hike right now?
36.
That's fine, put it below a short hike.
And then Mark of the Ninja goes 37.
That's fine. Yeah, let's do that.
And they're all going to go up 2 because we've just made a gap.
Yeah. And like, I still strongly say Mark of the Ninja, the best stealth game ever made, and it does hurt me for it to be down this low, but I think in context, if you not liking it as much, I'm willing to take the hit. And
yeah, you're right. Wind Waker's got a little boost. Unsighted's up there at 28. Final Fantasy 6 it's 27. Link Between Worlds 26. Chrono Trigger, Metro Fusion, Fire Emblem 7, Wargroove, Citizen Sleeper. Okay, we'll need to get into this, but okay, where. I do think Xenoblade Chronicles should come down now.
Yeah, that's fine. Where do you want to put it? I mean, I can put it below Link Between Worlds, 27, because I would take it above Final Fantasy 6 as an RPG personally, and I'm the one who likes Final Fantasy 6.
I was going to suggest putting Xenoblade Chronicles right between A Short Hike and Metroid Prime.
No. It can't be below A Short Hike. I can't do that. I just can't do that. Like, A Short Hike is a nice little thing. Xenoblade 1 is a masterpiece, right?
All right, let's go above A Short Hike, below Dead Cells then.
Yeah, right. Okay, I'll do that. I'll do that. I will acquiesce to that request. That's totally cool. And it hurts me inside, but, you got to take these hits sometimes. Sometimes it's more important to have Metro Prime at number 35 on this list. Sometimes it's just...
It got a great sequel that you want represented higher. Like, I don't see that as a bad thing.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So...
We were up to...
So we've got Wargroove, Fire Emblem 7, Metro Fusion, Chrono Trigger in this kind of cluster here. In terms of ordering things... I might want to have a bit of a sandwich situation, if you know what I mean. So, like, I would like Fire Emblem 7 above Wargroove as, like, a nice sandwich situation.
I'd put Pikmin 3 above the lot.
Okay.
And then I'm happy to do your sandwich thing if you need Wargroove down a 1.
Yeah, sure. Let's do Pikmin 3 higher.
So Pikmin 3 is going to go to just below Citizen Sleeper for now.
Yeah. Pikmin 3 is just so good.
It's so good.
It's so good.
So good. And you wanted Fire Emblem 7 above Wargroove.
Man, I would put Wargroove below Chrono Trigger, but I did move Xenoblade down quite a lot. I don't know. I think Wargroove Wargroove is your representative of your Advance Wars stuff up here, so it's cool.
Totally.
Just put it below Fire Emblem 7. That's fine. Okay. Don't get too greedy here, you know.
Wargroove below Fire Emblem 7. Okay.
Yeah. So it's Fire Emblem 7, then Wargroove, then Metroid
That's
Fusion.
Fine. I like Fire Emblem 7 more than you like Wargroove.
Yeah, exactly. It's a nice little sandwich situation. I'm happy with the sandwich. It's a nice sandwich.
I think 20 might be a good spot for Citizen Sleeper.
It might be.
Any other nominees for number 20?
I think Slay the
Getting
Spire
tough
and
now.
Slay the
Spire is a good one, actually.
And Rhythm Heaven are both in a place where super passion at the time.
I think they could go 1920.
I think they can, yeah.
Would you still have Slay the Spire above Rhythm Heaven? I think I probably would.
I think I'd have Rhythm Heaven above Slay the Spire, weirdly, yeah.
Oh, really? I just said the opposite.
I think Rhythm Heaven just because of Spin It Boys, honestly, that's what makes it for me. It feels like a more TNL pick than Slay the Spire does. Like, Slay the Spire is an excellent game, don't get me wrong. I played a lot of it. I know you like it as well, but I mean, Rhythm Heaven is it's fucking great. It's so good. Like, it's more of a Nintendo-ass Nintendo pick, and I want them to make more of them. And also just Spin It Boys. That's my argument. Honestly, right. I would put Rhythm Heaven above Slay the Spire because it's more TNL because of Spin It Boys. That's my entire argument.
We can do Rhythm Heaven above Slay the Spire, and that's love 18 and 19, okay?
Yeah, love it. Represented well. I think that makes sense. And I think the boys must be spun. They must be spun. It has to happen. I really need to make a Spin It Boys emoji for Discord. I've been meaning to make it for so long. It's got to happen, man. Gotta happen.
There we go.
All right. And let's move Citizen Sleeper above those to 18, I think.
Oh, you wanted it above those?
Yeah, I think that should be above. Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
I think it stops there, though.
Yeah, I think so. I think it probably...
I'm struggling to see anything now in this top 17 fall out of that top 17.
Yeah. I mean...
What are you about to pick on?
I'm not going to pick on anything. I'm just thinking, right? Like, I like Citizen Sleeper and Night in the Woods at a kind of similar-ish level.
Oh, God.
Like, at a similar-ish level. I think Night in the Woods is, it's a phenomenal game. It really is.
I think what I didn't like about Citizen Sleeper was the ethereal stuff and the amount of time you spent in that kind of like Space Ghost place.
Right,
I forgot what it's even called.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And for me,
Night in the Woods kind of has some of that. Like the Dream World stuff is a bit weird and odd as well.
It's just like a short platforming challenge.
Yeah, I guess.
And I think Night in the Woods needs credit for like the fact it's got 2D platforming elements.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Always comes back down to that, doesn't it? It feels good to play.
It feels good to play.
It does. Yeah.
Citizen Sleeper. Its menus at times are like it's just a very different type of game to play. So when both of them have like great political messaging, great stories they're telling with very specific characters that I love.
Yeah.
I also prefer Night in the Woods. This is taste, but like it's a lot more on earth and grounded, and the things it's talking about are so relatable. Whereas yes, the things Citizen Sleeper are talking about are relatable, but you can totally tell that it is definitely going for the whole. This is what capitalism looks like in 100 years. Right.
Like, I think I'm much more interested in the transhumanism angle and the kind of like bodies.
Right, and that's a taste thing, totally. Like Night in the Woods is like, the world is fucked right now, and this is why.
Yes. Yeah. I think they're both excellent. I would probably have Citizen Sleeper a little higher, but that's fine. That's totally cool. It's just
maybe it can go higher. I don't know. You're kind of convincing me a bit, but that top 17 is looking...
It's incredibly hard to like penetrate this, right?
Yeah.
So like there's some stuff around like the top 10 area that we can maybe do a bit of shuffling around, because I personally have, I think right now, stronger passion for stuff like Metroid Dread and Eastward and Tunic above maybe like Luigi Mansion 3 at the moment, or
Yeah.
Tropical Freeze at the moment,
Yeah.
right?
I think Tunic, Eastward, and Metroid Dread should all be in the top 10.
Yeah.
The tough part is what drops out of the top 10.
Yeah, I mean, like Earthbound, I guess. Earthbound,
if I had
Smash.
to pick 3, just looking at it very quickly, I'd go with the 2 you just said, Tropical Freeze and Luigi's Mansion, and I'd even agree with you throwing Earthbound.
Yeah, maybe Smash. Maybe Smash.
I want to keep Smash.
I do. We haven't played Smash in so long. I think that's why. Like, it's fading from the memory, you know?
If we had played Smash last night, we'd be like, it can't drop out the top 5.
Yeah, I know, right?
And the fact we know we can say that about that game and
That's
know
true.
that, I think it deserves credit for that.
It's true. Okay, so Metroid Dread.
Let's move these up for now.
Eastward and
Stuff
Tunic,
will move
let's
down.
move them.
I'm
Okay,
not
yeah.
saying it's fixed, but like Citizen Sleeper, Metroid Dread, Eastward. I'm just going to cut them all out at the same time.
Sorry, what about Tunic?
Sorry, yes.
I thought we were doing Tunic, Eastward, and Metroid Dread.
Yeah, I did that wrong. There we go.
There we go.
And I'm going to go from below Stardew Valley.
Yeah, and put those in. Okay. So, now here's my argument. Octopath Traveler 2 and Xenoblade 3 should go above the Donkey Kong section.
Oh, Jesus, that's high. I disagree.
I think they both should go above the Donkey Kong section.
Yeah,
and I think because they are the personal passion picks.
But you could equally say the personal passion picks need to be below the joint passion picks. Like
That's true, but
I don't think it goes one way or the other necessarily. But
I think Luigi, Mario, and Donkey Kong are all high for both of us. I'm less hot on Odyssey. You're slightly less hot on Luigi.
I don't have to move Odyssey up. I agree with that. But
can we put them above Odyssey? Or maybe above Luigi?
You want to move Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and Octopath Traveler 2 above Mario Odyssey and Cuphead.
Yes,
They're going to slide in just below Luigi.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I can do that. I can't really see them going higher for now. But
would you not put them above Luigi, no?
No, because I'd argue like Mario Odyssey has the kind of the Nintendo juice that we crave so much. And we're kind of in slight disagreement where I love Mario Odyssey a lot more than you, but then we're in a lot more agreement on Luigi's Mansion 3.
That's true.
That level of stuff. So I wouldn't like to see it past Luigi's Mansion 3. But
all right. Can we put Cuphead above Mario Odyssey? Is that sacrilege?
Because
I legit think Cuphead is better than Mario Odyssey.
I can't do that.
Damn, dude. I on my game of the year,
I always have to fight so hard for Stardew Valley and Mario Odyssey. That's what always happens.
Oh, I don't think you need to fight for Stardew Valley. I'm with you with Stardew Valley a lot of the time.
I remember fighting hard for it. But
Cuphead, even the year it came out, it was my number 2 game behind Breath of the Wild. So I was correct then. Mario Odyssey was number 3. And I was correct then. I'm still correct today because we played that DLC and that DLC kicks Mario Odyssey's fucking ass. It fucking does.
Oh, no, it doesn't.
It really does.
I know you just said I was a 3D platforming guy. I'm saying Mario Odyssey is the best 3D platform I've ever played.
It's so good for 10 hours and then there's no challenge to it at all. It's so good for 10 hours. It's such a delightful
challenge, but yeah,
I know, but you know,
agree
like
the challenge is there for the first 10
but
hours.
I miss that. There is no like, you know, every Mario game has that kind of back half of it that has like, now this is where the real shit happens, right? And Odyssey just doesn't have it.
Say that again. It needs a back half where this is where the real shit happens.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're implying challenging stages.
Yeah, it steps it up and it's like, here's the real shit, and off you go. Like the second half of 3D Land, love it. You know, the back levels of Galaxy 2.
I agree it's not the most challenging Mario platformer, but have you tried a game called Super Mario Sunshine?
I have. Yeah, I have. Should we put that on the list? Where should that go? We'll see.
It used to be on the list a long time ago.
Oh, God, was it? Oh, God, man. We've come a long way.
It used to be on the list.
We've come a long way.
As well.
I mean, cool. Yeah, I know that you will want to keep Mario Odyssey at least respectable on this list, and I don't know if 16 is respectable anymore, but But yeah, I just want to make it known that Cuphead
The main man, the big man, Mario, the second highest grossing animated film of all time.
Yeah.
He ain't going below 16.
I mean, Cuphead has a TV show on Netflix, you know?
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
Is it the second highest grossing animated TV show of all time, though?
Well, I don't know. I don't think Netflix divulges any numbers, so who would know? Okay. So
I think we're looking 13 up. So 14 is Xenoblade Chronicles 3, 15 is Octopath Traveler 2, 16 Mario Odyssey, 17 Cuphead.
Yeah. Luigi's Mansion 3 and Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. Now, I would probably take Luigi's Mansion 3 over Tropical Freeze.
Ooh, I would.
But that's fine. I just wanted to poke the bear there for a little bit. Smash Ultimate, yes. Above Earthbound, question mark, in the top 10?
Yeah, I think Earthbound at 11, Smash Ultimate at 10.
Yeah, I think we can do that. Now, Earthbound, a brilliant little game that I love dearly. And
it got Eastwarded.
A little bit. Now,
a little bit. That's why it's dropping to 11 and not like off the list.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I think that's the thing. Like Earthbound, I think we still both have a shared passion for.
Definitely.
It's just an amazing RPG. It's still
our best backlog
quirky.
club game. You know,
Absolutely.
That was a really good discussion.
Yeah, I love that game. So Earthbound still deserves to be here. Not in the top 10. So yeah, we're now in the top 10 area, and we've got a few little games here. Smash at 10.
Yeah, Smash at 10. Metroid Dread at 9. Eastward at 8. Tunic at 7. Stardew Valley at 6. Celeste at 5. Hades 4. Ori and the Will of the Wisps 3. Night in the Woods 2. Breath of the Wild 1.
Yeah.
What do you see in that 9 slot? Do we agree Smash Ultimate 10? I think that's a good spot for
I think that's fine, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
9 spot. Currently it's Metroid Dread. I think you're going to push for Dread higher.
And Don't Kill Me think... Nine in the Woods is very, very high. Nine in the Woods is very, very high. And I do agree, it's very,
It can go
very
lower
good.
than 2. I don't think it should go lower than 9.
Yeah.
It can go lower than 2.
No, I don't think it should be 9. I think Eastward might be 9? Question mark?
Could be. Could be.
I think Eastward is 9.
I'll take Eastward at 9. I think it's done well.
Yeah, it's done extremely
damn
well.
It got above. It beat Earthbound. That's what it was here to do. It did it.
Yeah, like Eastward is, I think, a passion pick in a lot of ways. I think there are still issues that Eastward has, but I do think that God, Metroid Dread is so fucking good.
What were your biggest issues with Eastward?
I mean, it crashed on me 5-6 times. It had some problems there. That was little technical stuff, which maybe not factors into it. And I think I was a little not underwhelmed, but you get to the big city and then you spend 3 chapters there. I think the pace Eastward was going at was brand new place for a chapter, brand new, and then you get to that big city. And
it's a third of the game.
It's a third of the game. You just kind of stay there the whole time. And I do wish that. And I remember thinking this when I was playing. I was like, I wish we were going to some new places. And by the end, you do go to a couple more. The Monkey Train is great. And then you get the kind of final island area. But I wish that there are a couple more locations in there to make it feel like more of an adventure. If you know what I mean.
Maybe something Earthbound does better.
It gets
to those new locations snappier.
It gets freshness more frequently, yeah, for sure. So I think that is a little bit in Eastward's downfall. But, I mean, the soundtrack is so good. I love the music of that game as well. I think the vibes, one of the things that I really like about it from a narrative perspective is that John uses his cooking pan as a weapon as well as a thing to cook with. It's the protector and in kind of nurturer, in both ways, with the same item. I think it's very cool. So Eastward at 9?
I think Eastward at 9.
All right.
I think Eastward at 9.
Now we're into the big boys. How do you feel, Bally, about the big boys?
Don't think Breath of the Wild's moving.
No, of course not.
No.
Unassailable.
You'll hate me, but I personally, at number 8, would have Hades.
never happening. Never in a billion, bajillion, frintillion years. Like, I would have Hades at number 2 on this list if it was my
You
list.
want Hades above Metroid Dread?
I would put Hades above Metroid Dread, yes. Hades is one of the best games ever made. Like, it is in my personal top 5. Like, I think it is unassailable. Like, it's a perfect video game. Yeah, I wouldn't move Hades.
All of a sudden, I feel like I'm defending more games than you, and that never happens with these lists.
No,
but
I know.
in the top 10, it happens hard, and I don't know how. But
I would move Night in the Woods down to like 5 maybe, and put Ori and Hades above. But I would also take Metroid Dread above Stardew personally. And I think Tunic is at a nice place at 7. How do you feel?
I can see Night in the Woods coming down. Definitely think that's fair. I can see Ori going to 2, Hades at 3.
Where would you put Tunic?
I'd be tempted to put Dread 8, Tunic 7.
Leave them as they are right now.
As they are. I think there's a chance we could maybe have the list as it is and move Night in the Woods from number 2 down to
number 4. Basically do a Hades...
4 or 5. Well, that slot between Hades and Celeste, it'll change number, obviously.
I mean, Night in the Woods would come down to 4 if we did that change.
Right. So we do that and see what it looks like?
Sure. Stardew and Celeste, I would probably take Dread above Stardew and Celeste. And I may put Tunic a little higher, but I think the thing for Tunic actually that makes it I would probably put Tunic below Metroid Dread personally. I think Tunic, the thing that it doesn't get right is like I didn't love just, I mean, it's mainly combat. That's the main thing.
Yeah,
and
I get that.
And I think that was a
You never got the gun. The gun helped so much.
No, yeah, exactly.
It makes some of those tougher bullet spongy enemies just, you eviscerate them faster.
Yeah,
but
like I think the thing with Tunic is it's like an 8.5 up until it gets to the end stuff, and then it becomes a 10. And I would say that like because that first part of the game is 60-70% of it, not that it's bad, it's just it's a little more straightforward, and it still has the great surprise of the manual and stuff like that.
I think the manual incorporated with the way the world is laid out and some of the secrets and ways that you navigate that world before anything to do with the Golden Path and nothing to do with the combat obviously is top tier. Like
it's really good.
It's really impressive, like level design.
Yeah, like the whole
some of the
world
most
so
impressive
well
level design on this entire list.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, okay. So you want to keep Tunic above Dread?
I would love to, and I did lower my baby Night in the Woods.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's fair.
To 4.
Which
meant your baby Hades could go up 1.
That's true.
And I think Ori and the Will of the Wisp is a great number 2 because of just how much we love Metroidvanias and how
it's
the
the
best one.
It's the best one.
Like music, combat, exploration, just...
I think, is Ori like in your top 5 games of all time? Would you put it there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would as well. So like I think that's a very strong argument.
It was like one of the most awesome things of all time was when I bought my Xbox One and played Ori and the Will of the Wisps. It just felt like I've got a new console, I've got this incredible new game, and it kicks ass, and I love it. And
yeah. Stardew Valley, I guess it's good. It's a good video game. Yeah. Do you think Tunic should be above Stardew or Celeste?
Interesting. No, because I think you make a fair point about the combat. Like it's not a perfect game, and I'm not saying any of these games are perfect, but I think that Tunic does have room to improve. I'm not sure you can improve Stardew Valley or Celeste.
Yeah, it's very true. Yeah, they are.
Not that, this is just a made up metric, obviously. I'm not saying it's definitive, but like I think that's an interesting point.
Yeah, it is for sure. I think you can improve Metroid Dread as well. Like that's the point I always think of with Metroid Dread is the underwater Emmy chase, which just fucking sucks. Like that one section, it's the one thing that when I'm thinking about replaying that game, I'm like, but I'm gonna have to do that one section again.
I'm gonna dread that one section.
That one section.
I really love the Emmy chases overall. I don't remember that one specifically being overly bad.
Oh god, I just got so hung up on it because you're walking slow underwater and like the getting your controls right to use your grappling hook to get out the way of it. It's a bit of RNG.
It can be fiddly.
It's really fiddly. Yeah. Like that one underwater one took me so long, and I remember just like bashing my head against the wall and being like, "This sucks." Like, but it's the only part of the game that stands out to me as where I was annoyed with it because the rest is just so fucking fluid. It's pretty perfect. All right. I mean, are we happy?
That's still like 3 new games into the top 10.
That's true,
with this list at 7, 8, and 9.
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty good shift for the last 2 years of games on Nintendo platforms.
Yeah. I mean, if we want to, we're not really talking in depth about the top 6 because they're kind of the same as they've been before. But I mean, you know, they're all very good. Hades is exceptional. Night in the Woods is like one of the best written games ever. I think like Night in the Woods is, because it's less gamey, I think that's maybe my personal thing of like, I just like Hades and Ori a lot from a kind of hands-on sticks perspective. And, you know, Night in the Woods has good platforming, of course. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's tricky. I think it's still an excellent game and still has a great message and all that good stuff, but I don't know. Some different things stick with you more over time, so yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Do we want to do our bonus 2 games now?
Oh, fuck, I forgot about that. All right.
I've got mine. I don't think either of mine will make the list, but I'll throw them out there anyway.
All right, well, throw them out there.
Right. The first one, and this was mainly because the Mario Kart track reminded me, should Yoshi's Island be on this list?
Oh, no. I don't think so.
I think Super Mario Land 2 fell off a little while ago, and
it did, yes.
The kind of like retro 2D platformer, I guess, isn't represented. I guess Wario Land is now retro.
Yeah, it is.
Shake Dimension is maybe the 2D. And the other one, which is also an old game, should Wave Race 64 be on this list?
Oh man, hell of a game. Hell of a game. Where would it go?
I mean, you're looking at the bottom.
Yeah, I know.
But
I would get rid of the Gardens Between and put Wave Race 64. Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, that's kind of tempting.
Yeah, I mean,
that's kind of tempting.
You know, I don't know. I mean, like, look, Wave Race 64, I think holds up tremendously well. It's a good, fun game. I wouldn't play it that much, you know. Like, okay, I played it.
I think it's more got a lot of your respect necessarily.
It has a lot of my respect.
Game you want to play all the time, but that's fair. Okay, we'll leave it. We'll leave it. Have you got 2?
I've got 1
at
the moment. I haven't thought of another one, but my 1, of course, has to be on here. Bringing it back from the dead. It's Guitar Hero 3, motherfuckers. Where is it? It's right here. Should be on this list. Represents a genre that is not represented on this list at all in rhythm games.
It's so hard to compare to these games, isn't it?
It's not impossible. It's not hard to compare. It's just a classic video game. Should be on the list. We don't have any. Okay, we have one rhythm game in Rhythm Heaven, but we don't have any like
the best
music rhythm games. You know, which is a different category, like Beat Saber and stuff like that. That's a different category, I would say, than traditional rhythm games. Yeah, that would be the one I'd argue for. I know you fought tooth and nail to get Guitar Hero 3 off the list many years ago. You did, yeah. You kept telling me to get rid of it on the list, and so it never made it back on. So, yeah.
I'm not feeling it. Are you feeling it?
I'm always feeling it. I legitimately would take it over the Gardens Between. Sorry for the Gardens Between for being the punching bag at the bottom of this list here, but
the Gardens Between has just got absolutely hung out to dry this round. It's clinging on to 47 for dear life.
Yeah.
I'll probably stand by the Gardens Between.
All right.
Have you got any other one?
No, I don't think so. I mean, like, I would probably say Mario 3D Land is my other Mario pick, to be
You know
on this
what? That
list.
is a good shout. That is a good
You know?
shout.
I really love that game, and I think it does something different, and it's just the best pick up and play, like, Mario game.
We forget that Mario Galaxy 2 dropped off the list.
Yeah, exactly. Which, it was very high at one point.
I think playing Galaxy 1 made me think that Galaxy 2 is not all that.
I think playing Galaxy 1 reminded me that Galaxy 2 is way better than Galaxy 1.
I mean, Galaxy 2 is way better than Galaxy 1, but I just mean fundamentally, mechanically.
Yeah.
I think
like,
I've said
replaying it in the collection, Mario Galaxy fell in my estimate. Like, it was the funny thing about the collection, where, like, Mario 64 raised in my estimation. Sunshine, I mean, it's pretty much back exactly where I thought it was, and Galaxy went down.
My estimations were completely the same, and I obviously started at a higher point with Sunshine.
Sure,
but for me, 64 was much better than I thought it would be. Sunshine was about what I expected. I had a really good time, and then Galaxy was just not quite as
it's not quite there,
incredible
was it?
as I thought it was. Obviously, when it came
and it's
out.
hard to replicate that first. Like, I remember watching E3 videos from the show floor of seeing Mario Galaxy for the first time, and it was fucking
losing our
mind-blowing.
minds, rewatching those videos again and again.
Yeah,
and I'm interested to see what playing Mario Odyssey in 20 years is like is that gonna hold up way better than those other 3-4 games? Like, I don't know, but
yeah, we'll see. Cool. Well, I guess if Mario 3D Land isn't gonna get the Gardens Between off the list, then we can leave it at that, and that will be the list. What do you think, Bally?
I'm happy with the list.
All right,
I'm happy with the list.
Cool. So there you go. That's the top 50 games for...
Shall I read through the list?
Episode 250. Bally,
I'm so tired of reading through this list.
down the list. I can read it.
Do you want to read this list? I'm fed up of saying Phoenix Rice.
Right.
So
Phoenix Rice, Ace Attorney.
Phoenix Rice. I don't care about his rice, all right? I just want to know about it.
Two things I need to do after this is make a Spin It Boys emoji and make a Phoenix Rice emoji.
Phoenix
is what I need
Rice.
to. Yeah, okay. At number 50, Metroid Prime Federation Force. Round of applause. Good job,
done.
buddy.
Well
done.
Oh
my God, I'm so happy. Number 49, Contra 3. Number 48, Box Boy. Number 47, The Gardens Between. Number 46, Grease. Number 45, AI The Somnium Files. Number 44, Advance Wars Reboot Camp. Number 43, Wario Land Shake Dimension. Number 42, Phoenix Rice Ace Attorney. Number 41, Katana Zero. Number 40, Super Mario Maker. Number 39, Pokemon Gold and Silver. Number 38, Hollow Knight. Number 37, Chained Echoes. Number 36, Mark of the Ninja. Number 35, Metroid Prime. Number 34, A Short Hike. Number 33, Xenoblade Chronicles. Number 32, Dead Cells. Number 31, Spiritfarer. Number 30, Splatoon 3. Number 29, The Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker. Number 28, Unsighted. Number 27, Final Fantasy VI. Number 26, Legend of Zelda Link Between Worlds. Number 25, Chrono Trigger. Number 24, Metroid Fusion. Number 23, Wargroove. Number 22, Fire Emblem 7. Number 21, Pikmin 3. Number 20, Slay the Spire. Number 19, Rhythm Heaven Megamix. Number 18, Citizen Sleeper. Number 17, Cuphead. Number 16, Mario Odyssey. Number 15, Octopath Traveler 2. Number 14, Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Number 13, Luigi's Mansion 3. Number 12, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. Number 11, Earthbound. Number 10, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Number 9, Eastward. Number 8, Metroid Dread. Number 7, Tunic. Number 6, Stardew Valley. Number 5, Celeste. Number 4, Night in the Woods. Number 3, Hades. Number 2, Ori and the Will of the Wisps. And number 1, The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild.
Oh,
and
beautiful.
That is your top 50 games of all time. Are there any in here that we didn't really talk about that you maybe want to just give a shout out to? Because we've got a very kind of
I think there's
the
a
end.
handful of games near the top of the list, like Breath of the Wild, for example, that I guess we maybe have talked to death on that game, so you know our opinions, but perhaps like Celeste, Stardew Valley, like I think we forget just how impactful at the time Celeste was when it came out, and I remember you coming to Brussels and you were like, yeah, I got Celeste, it's this game. And I think I tried like maybe 5 minutes of one level.
You played it for about 30 seconds, like, I need to buy this right now.
And I was absolutely sold. I was just so sold. And I played that game later that year and it became my game of the year. And it's like back in 2018. And I think that that was an incredibly just impactful moment in gaming, full stop, for me. I mean, like 2D platformers are like our bread and butter. They're like our what we grew up with and what we love, and they're so core to being, in many ways, a Nintendo fan. And for a third party, an indie game, to do it better than any other 2D platforming game we've played before was just remarkable, and definitely deserves to be a number 5.
Yeah. What about Octopath Traveler 2, Bally? You've talked about it a lot on this show. How happy are you with its placement?
Very happy, and I'm just really intrigued how much of that game you play and if you have a good time, because I do think it's substantially doing things better than the first game. And I know you've also said how in 2018 you were having quite a rough time, and a lot of the games you played at that point in time didn't maybe come across the best, and Octopath definitely was in that mix. So I'm hoping that Octopath Traveler 2 can be a fresher, stronger experience overall. Yeah,
I hope so. And you're all sick of me talking about Xenoblade Chronicles 3, but I'm very happy that it's high up the list. So I'm glad, and it should be there as a representative of the series. So
I think they're both in a good spot where they're below the top of the top, but they're above the best of the rest. They deserve to be in that middle echelon.
It's the JRPG corner, we both have very different tastes. JRPGs when it comes to
and platformers are very well represented on this list.
They are, yeah.
Maybe platformers / Metroidvanias.
Yes, yeah, for sure. That speaks to our taste, right? And I think that
totally
cuts through pretty well. So awesome. Well, thanks everybody for listening to this odyssey of an episode.
I think that's maybe close to a 4-hour show.
I think it is close to, yeah. We're pretty much there. So I'm going to go to sleep. But before we do that, let's get on out of here, Bally, and talk about some stuff. So you can obviously support this show, if you so want to, by going to patreon.com/ThisNintendoLife, where you can find some bonus episodes where we talk about other video games and all that sort of stuff. Bally, we'd like to thank some people who've supported us at patreon.com/ThisNintendoLife.
Yes, thank you to our $10 tier plus patrons. They are Zach S, Thomas, Matthew, Albert, Wicked Gamer, UK Allen, and Turtle. Thank you all for your $10 tier plus support. But thank you to all of our other patrons. It's hugely appreciated, all of the support you've given the show and continue to give the show. Want to shout out the episode of This Nintendo Life we did. We basically did a little roundup of all the announcements, or some of the announcements covered in Summer Games Fest and the Xbox Games Showcase. So you definitely don't want to miss that. And yeah, I guess Nintendo have been a little bit quiet this summer, but everyone's busy playing Tears of the Kingdom, so it's understandable. But we definitely covered all the other noise going on over there.
Yeah, it does make me... I am interested, and I don't know if this would be possible with the number of games, but like top 50 Nintendo list of all time. I don't know how that would work.
I feel it coming.
I don't know if that's possible or not, but that might be something at some point.
What makes you think it wouldn't work? That's my question.
I don't know. Like, have you played enough to where we can do that at this point? You've had a few years now under your belt.
Yeah, I think outside of your passions, like like the Yakuzas of this world and all the anime bullshit that you like, I think outside of those ones, I think our tastes are fairly similar for the most part, and we could probably have a good time at some point doing that list. Maybe we need to wait till episode 50 of This Nintendo Life to do that. So we're a little while away, but I don't know. We'll think about it.
Could be a fun idea. We'll see. Of course, you can find us all over the internet. You can find me at LordNBZ. Where can they find you, Bally?
I'm on Twitter at Ballyman91. That's BALLYMAN 91. And I think I just don't tweet anymore. It's really bad.
Yeah, you're an old man. Just browse Twitter and
definitely
don't say
always
anything.
tweet when I beat a game. That's the crucial
true.
part.
Consistently, part. And also consistently capitalize the first G and don't capitalize the second G in GG.
I just take great pleasure in doing it every time now.
I know.
G,
I know
capital
you do.
G. Lowercase g. MBZ's going to see this. Fantastic. Game beaten. Let's go.
People need to arrest this man for his crimes, frankly.
Well, okay, honest question. Which annoys you more?
Yeah.
When I'm offline on my Nintendo Switch and you can't see how many hours I've played of any given game or when I was last online, or when I do a GG capital then lowercase.
You being offline on Nintendo Switch, so that's an elongated fucking period. I had to come to your own house, take your Switch and undo that travesty.
I will do it again some point when I'm wanting to play a secret game. You do know that.
I fucking hate it so much.
Okay.
Because you never remember to do it, and I'm like, oh god, I just have a thing. This is the thing I do every time I open my Switch. The first thing I do is I go to my friends list and catch up and be like, oh, I wonder if Ali T's played a bit more Tears of the Kingdom. Oh, he's up to 25 hours. So let's see how much.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
Can't let him
I
get
was
ahead of me. I've not played in a very large number
You're
of
still
days.
like 40 or something, right?
Yeah, I'm between 40 45, yeah.
Yeah, I think Ali T's been on holiday as well, so he's not played as much, but he will pass you probably at some point soon. But yeah, I always like to check in and be like, oh, what are some of the friends of the show playing? What are some people who I follow on Twitter playing? That sort of stuff. And then there was that like 4-month period where I couldn't update Bally's at all. It drove me fucking up the wall. It was a nightmare. So anyway, that's those are my pet peeves, of course.
What if I'm playing a game for embargo or something? How do you know? It's
true. You could be reviewing something.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Got to be very secretive about that shit.
I can't talk about it.
Yeah. Yes, yeah. Obviously, you can write into this show and give us your opinions on this top 50 and many other things. Bally, where can they send those emails to?
Please email thisnintendolife@gmail.com. That is thisnintendolife@gmail.com. We've also got a channel on our Discord server called Emails. You can leave a comment, a question over there if you'd like.
Absolutely, whichever way works for you, and I'm sure we'll be getting back to those next time on the show. So get writing in all your interesting thoughts, and I will be close to Pikmin, I think, next time. I'm not sure if it'll be out probably after the next show, but
it's in
July. Yeah. So I mean, our next show will be in July, I'm pretty sure. So we'll be pretty close to it. But Nintendo's last announced release, I think, up until we don't know whatever the hell is coming out next. So thinking there might be a Nintendo Direct on the horizon. That's lots. Every time I log onto Twitter these days, Bally, it's like Nintendo Direct is trending.
People need to just chill out and
they really do
appreciate Tears of the Kingdom. That's what they need to do.
Yeah, it is.
Pikmin 4 is July 21st. So
okay,
so we've got a little bit of time.
Yeah,
a little bit of time.
Yeah. But we've got plenty of more Zelda to be playing and talking about until then. And I think that is pretty much it. Obviously, you can find the show in various places. We're on Spotify, we're on Stitcher. Go review us on Spotify, go review us on Apple Podcasts. It's the best way to support the show.
Our number of Spotify reviews have surpassed Apple Podcasts.
Oh, there you go.
We're up to 73 Spotify
It is much
reviews.
easier to review on Spotify because you don't have to write a whole thing. But
True.
I do like reading the written things on Apple Podcasts. So
you
do go ahead and
leave us a review on like a rating on Spotify, and then send us an email of what you would have said. That'd
absolutely. Yeah, that'd be great. So if you are so inclined, please go ahead and do that. And I think that is it. It's episode 250 in the bag, Bally. All wrapped up.
And we're coming up to 10 years of the show as well. It's a fitting number for 10 years.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So, yes, thanks everybody for listening. And we'll be back in a couple of weeks' time with a lot more of this rubbish, talking about video games and Nintendo and all those sort of things.
We'll also see you in 2 years' time for episode 300,
yes.
and we'll do this all over again.
We'll do it again. Hopefully I won't be dying then from hay fever.
We'll get MBZ an inhaler, and it's going to be great.
Yeah, it might be in May next time if the calendar moves back even more. So here's hoping, fingers crossed. But until then, thanks everybody so much for listening. Appreciate all the support, all the stuff over the years, and we'll be back soon. Bye-bye, folks.